Hello and welcome to an all-new, brand-new, me and you Mario Party minigame review. But actually, it's not only me and you anymore. Like any good show that has run out of ideas, we're introducing a new character on the show. It's my fiancé. Will she stand up as an amazing, once-in-a-lifetime host like me? Or will we cast her away into the pile of unwanted one-star minigames we come across? Only time will tell, but let's at least give her a chance.
Thanks for having me! Today we're reviewing the first Mario Party 2 minigame, Abandoned Ship. It's a free-for-all minigame. You find yourself in a sinking ship, and as the water levels rise, your goal is to be the first to reach the top of the mast. To do this, you mash A to climb. Along the way, you'll have to move left or right to dodge planks, blocking your way, and be on the lookout for jumping cheap cheeps that'll stun you for a few moments. Reach the top first, and you win. Okay, so that game wasn't my favorite.
Yeah, me either, and the trouble starts right away at the beginning. This game starts incredibly abruptly. If you're not paying attention to it, you're going to immediately die.
I know, that got me too the first few times I played. That and the cheap cheeps. You don't really have much warning when they pop up, so it's hard to avoid them. Honestly, after the first few times, I just didn't worry about getting hit by them.
Yeah, me either. I just kind of powered through and hoped I didn't get hit. It takes more time to try and stop and figure out when they're gonna hit you than it does to just keep going and see what happens.
And then if you can't power through and you fall off the mast, then you're just sitting there watching your enemies and you just have to wait for a blooper to come pick you up.
Yeah, that's kind of funny though. There's also some coins you can collect throughout the minigame, but honestly, I don't think they're really worth the effort.
I agree, the amount of time it takes to get the coins isn't worth the possible risk of losing the winning loot.
Yep. Overall, I think this one deserves 2 stars.
I think so too. With the abrupt start, the annoying cheap cheeps, and the fact that it's really just another button masher makes it only a 2-star minigame.
Yeah, I wish it was better.
Me too, I was really hoping for a 5-star minigame for my first review, but I guess that was wishful thinking.
Yeah, don't get your hopes up with Mario Party. Alright, well I think that does it for today. If you like this review, subscribe and hit the bell to watch more. Our next review will be for Arch Arrival. What a dumb name.
Arch, rival, archer, rival. Get it?
Yeah, I get it. It's just not very funny.
Well, maybe not to you.
Hope to see you then. Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. I'm here again with my fiancé where we're reviewing the minigame Arch Arrival. The name sounds like Mario trying to say arch rival, I think. Arch Arrival! It's a 1 vs 3 minigame where one person plays as the archer trying to shoot moving targets of the other 3 players. But it's not only the other 3 players trying to dodge the arrows. There are also 2 targets controlled by the computer running around as well. If the archer manages to knock down the 3 player targets, they win. If not, everyone else does. Controls are just what you would expect them to be. Tilt the control stick left and right to move, and press A to shoot an arrow if you're an archer. I have mixed feelings about this one.
You know, so do I. I think how fun the game is really depends on if you're the archer or the target. I liked being the archer, but the act of shooting the arrow was very slow. I'm not really sure why you need to press A twice. I think it would have been better if you only needed to press A once to shoot an arrow.
Yeah, being an archer is okay, but being a target's a different story. The whole point is to run back and forth so that you don't get hit by the arrows, but I feel like you get blocked in by the computers way too often. Even if you're playing with 3 other humans, there's still 2 computer-controlled targets that get in your way. I can't tell you how many times I got blocked on either the left or right side because one of the computer-controlled targets came over there and just wouldn't let me move. It's kind of annoying.
Yeah, that was super frustrating. I think it would help if the targets were able to loop around to the other side so they're not as easily trapped by the computers or by other players.
Yeah, that would definitely give you more freedom to move around, I think. Overall, this is just kind of a middle-of-the-pack minigame. It's honestly kind of fun, but it's just held back by limitations.
Agreed. I think it's a solid 3-star minigame. Being the archer is fun, but kind of slow because of how long it takes to shoot the arrows. Dodging the arrows is fun when you're the target, but the CPUs can easily trap you in. Both sides have their annoyances keeping it from being very good.
Yep, unfortunate. Alright, that's another minigame in the can. If you liked it, subscribe and hit the bell to watch more. Our next review is for Balloon Burst, so come back for that one. Hope to see you then! Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Up today is Balloon Burst, the first of many returning minigames from the original Mario Party. It'll be interesting to size it up compared to the old one and see which one comes out on top. Balloon Burst in Mario Party 2 works a little bit differently from how it did in the first game. Originally, this was a free-for-all minigame, but here it's a 2 versus 2 minigame. Interesting. The goal is the same, however. Every player mashes the A and Z or B and Z buttons back and forth to blow up their Bowser balloon.
But timing is critical here. There's a sweet spot you can find between mashing them as fast as possible and holding them down for too long. If you hold them down for just a second, you can get a little more air out of each button press. So you have to find that perfect speed to where you get maximum air out of each press, but don't hold it for so long that the air stops coming out. Strategic. Whichever team blows up their Bowser balloon first wins.
So I'll just say right off the bat that for some reason, I just don't think this one is as good as the first one.
I think the thing that I didn't really like about this one was that it was kind of difficult to figure out how to maximize the air going into the balloon. It was tricky to get the flow just right.
Yeah, and I never really grasped it. I don't know why either, because I never really had a problem with it in the first game. It's something you kind of have to learn, but once you get it, it clicks.
Yeah, my strategy was just to watch the dial. I tried to keep it in the middle or towards the right side. Not really sure if that was the best approach though.
Yeah, and it's really hard to tell. Since this is a 2 versus 2 minigame, it's never quite clear if there's nowhere going into the balloon because of your strategy or your partner's. It makes it that much harder to learn what to do.
It might have been better as a free-for-all minigame. And really, it's just your basic button masher.
Yeah, there's supposed to be strategy to it, but it's just too hard to learn. We're gonna have to give this one 2 stars, which is really strange because I think the first one got 4 stars.
For this one, the game controls were confusing. It was hard to figure out if you were doing it right or not because you're on a team. And at the end of the day, it's still a button masher.
Yep. Well, that does it for today. If you like this review, subscribe and hit the bell and come back for more. Our next review will be for Bob on Barrage, so come back to watch it.
Hope to see you then!
Finish!
Hello, and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Today's minigame is Bob on Barrage, another 1 versus 3 minigame. If you're playing on your own, the goal is simple. Don't get hit. The other 3 players are tasked with throwing bob-ombs at you to try and sink your raft. To throw the bob-ombs, the players flick the control stick back to control the distance and angle of the throw. If they sink the player on the raft, they win. If the raftee raftles away, they win.
This is one of those 1 versus 3 minigames that's really hard to score because one side is so much more fun than the other to play.
Yeah, being the rafteler was definitely most enjoyable.
Yeah, it's pretty rewarding to dodge out of the way as all the bombs come pummeling at you. It's just not really fun to flick them.
Agreed. I actually had trouble with that. I'd either flick them too far to the left, or too far to the right, or not long enough. Basically, it was mostly just luck if I got them in the boat, which didn't happen very often.
Yep, being a rafteler is fun, but being a flickler really isn't.
I think it would be better if there was a different control scheme for the flickler to make throwing it more accurate.
Yeah, if you're the rafteler, I'd say just stay as far back as you can because it makes it a lot harder to hit you from that far.
So this minigame is a 2-star for sure.
Yeah, unfortunately. Being the rafteler is kind of enjoyable, but if you're one of the flicklers, it's just too hard to control and not very rewarding to do it.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed it, come back for our next video where we'll be reviewing Bobsled Run. Let's hope we have warmer feelings for this icy minigame.
Hope to see you then!
Finish! Ready, go!
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Today we're reviewing another minigame that hails from the original game, Bobsled Run. This is a 2 versus 2 minigame and the controls are the exact same from the original. You start by mashing A to gain some speed before you start your descent down the track. Once you get going, it's all in the control stick. Left and right turns you, up speeds you up, and pulling back slows you down. Beyond that, it's a matter of making it to the finish line first by hitting as many boost pads as you can and not falling off the sides of the track. Whoever is first wins.
Well, I think this minigame is just as fun as the first one.
Yeah, it doesn't really do anything radically different, but that doesn't mean it's bad. It's pretty good for what it is.
I think the trickiest part of this minigame was seeing the upcoming turns. I fell off a few times.
Yeah, you definitely have to be careful around the turns, but I think the biggest issue was the fact that you have to mash A to start the race. Why did they have to throw this in a minigame that would have been just fine without it?
I think any minigame when you have to mash A automatically docks points. Okay viewers, I have a question for you though. Which finger do you use when you mash A? We're in a bit of a disagreement as one of us uses their thumb to mash and the other uses their pointer finger. Comment below for which finger you think is the fastest.
Yeah, and there's definitely a right answer for this one, so be careful. I also want to say that the track is the same every time in this one, but it's a little bit improved from the original because there is a point where it branches off, and it's pretty long, so it's hard to memorize the whole thing. I like that.
I do too. I think this has been my favorite minigame so far.
Me too, and let me tell you why. I don't know if you noticed this, but if you look closely, all the penguins have butts. I don't know why they added this, but it's really funny to me.
That's my favorite thing about Mario Party, those small details. This is definitely a 3-star minigame.
Yep, it's pretty fun, but the fact that you have to mash A to start off the race hinders it, and it's just not one of those that really elevates above 3 stars. It's fine when it comes up, but it's not one you're gonna look forward to.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed it, come back for our next video where we'll be reviewing Bombs Away. Let's hope it blows us away. Hope to see you then! Hello, and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. We have another returning minigame from Mario Party 1 today, and the name is Bombs Away. The goal and controls are the same as the original. Stay on the island until time runs out. To do this, you'll jump and move around to dodge the variety of bombs and bullet bills that Bowser's ship shoots out at you. It's a simple minigame, and while the original version was very fun, it did have some faults. Will this one fix them and become something truly great? Keep watching to hear our thoughts.
Wow, I'm so glad to finally play a minigame I really like.
This one was really fun. It had the recipe for a great minigame, the competitive spirit and a dash of chaos.
And it fixes every issue I had with the first one. I really liked that one too. I gave it 4 stars, but there would be times when nothing was really happening. I don't know how many times the minigame ended with the clock running out because multiple people were still alive. There was stuff going on, but it was really easy to stay on the island. This definitely raises a level of chaos, and it's actually pretty hard to survive.
And not only is it a fun challenge to try to dodge the bombs and bullet bills to survive, but if you make it until the end, there's one giant attack, and that makes things really intense.
I know, that was pretty cool, I thought. It's cool that there's different things that happen throughout the minigame because it really helps keep it fresh.
Definitely. I think this minigame is the best yet. It deserves 5 stars.
Yay! 5 stars. But it really does deserve it. It takes everything great about the first game and improves it. It's chaotic, wacky, and a whole lot of fun.
It's one of those minigames I just didn't want to end.
Yeah, same. It's always a shame when you lose because you just want to keep going. And that does it for this review. If you liked it, subscribe and hit the bell to watch more. Tomorrow we have another returning minigame, Bowl Over. Will it fix all the issues from the first game as well? Come back to find out. Hope to see you then.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. I'm starting to see a pattern here. It's beginning to feel like we're playing a lot of the same minigames from the first one.
I've noticed that.
Today's minigame is Bowl Over. This is a 1 versus 3 minigame in which the solo player tries to knock over the other 3 players by rolling a Koopa shell down a curving lane without falling off the edge.
The controls are simple. If you're one of the 3 players playing as a pin, tilt the control stick to change your direction and hit A to hop that way in hopes of avoiding the Koopa shell. If you're the bowler, just move the control stick to control the shell and try and hit the players. But unlike in the original game where you had 1 shot to hit as many players as you could to steal their coins, this one gives you 2 shots to hit the players. However, you have to knock all 3 of them down to win. Otherwise, they win.
One of the things I like about this minigame is when you play as the bowler, you can pick where you want to stand before you throw the bowling ball to get your best angle.
One thing I disliked about this minigame was playing as a bowling pin. Just like in the first game, it's really unrewarding to take little tiny hops around, and you never have time to make it very far.
Well, one thing I liked was that there's a variety in the courses that come up. There's 3 total, so you're not very likely to play the same one every time.
Well, one thing I didn't like was the setting. It takes place in the desert, and there's just way too much sand. I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
Well, maybe I can give you some strategies since you dislike it so much. When you're the pin, spread out from the other pins so that the bowler is less likely to hit all 3 of you. The bowler needs to hit all 3 players in order to win.
Yeah, it's definitely not as fun as bowling in real life. I think it's getting 3 stars.
There's a good variety in courses, but being the pin isn't very fun, and you don't really look forward to being the bowler either.
Okay, that does it for today. If you like this video, subscribe and hit the bell to watch more. Our next minigame will be Bowser Slots.
Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching!
Just ignore her. No, wait, don't. Come back to watch the video.
Hope to see you then!
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Today's minigame is Bowser Slots. It might look like Mario Party's slot machine, but that couldn't be farther from the truth. They might as well be from different series altogether. See, in that one, you're trying to win coins. In this one, you're playing for items. It's completely different. Okay, so they have some similarities. Whatever.
This is one of Mario Party 2's new item minigames. These are single-player experiences in which you're playing to win items instead of coins. Bowser Slots, as you can imagine, is exactly what you'd expect it to be. You're trying to match up 3 of the same icons. If you do, you get an item. If not, that's it. And that's really all there is to talk about.
Yeah, there are really no surprises to this one. It's about as basic as you can get. They tell you it's a slot machine, and it's a slot machine.
I think I'd rather win coins than items, though. Coins are always useful, and sometimes the items aren't useful at all.
Yeah, that's what the first minigame was like. I mean, this one has its place, but I feel like these item minigames are going to be hard to talk about since they're all basically the same experience. They're just a way to get you a free item.
And with that, let's get on with the rating. 2 stars. There's nothing wrong with it, but it really lacks creativity and interest. You know exactly how to play since you've played a version of it in several other games, but at least you get a chance at winning an item, which can potentially help you get closer to getting a star.
Yep. Well, I guess that does it for today. A little bit of a short one, but I think we summed it all up pretty well. Our next video is another one featuring Bowser, called Bowser's Big Blast. Will this one blow us away with fun gameplay, or will it fall flat once again? Join us again to find out. Hope to see you then!
Finish!
Hello, and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Today's review is for a battle minigame called Bowser's Big Blast. There's a line of plungers with one of them being the detonator for Bowser's face. If you choose the detonator, you're out. The game continues until there's only 1 player left, so be the last one standing to win.
Okay, so this minigame is completely random. There's absolutely no skill involved, and some people might hate that, but honestly, I love these kind of minigames.
Me too. They're really tense because you never know if you're the one that's going to get out next, or if you'll be safe. But that's what makes it fun.
Yeah, I feel like minigames like this are great party games because of how random they are. There's so many fun situations that it can lead to when you're playing with friends, especially when somebody's in the lead or somebody else needs 10 coins and they lose. It's just hilarious.
Agreed. There's absolutely no skill to this game, so there's always someone who wins, and it never feels fair because it's not like they did anything better than the other players. They were just luckier.
And that's what makes Mario Party so fun. You never know what'll happen. Anyone can rise to first or fall to last throughout a game. A lot of it's based on skill, but the random nature of it is what really keeps it exciting.
It's anyone's game. That should be their slogan.
Okay, yeah, maybe. So I think it's safe to say that this is a really solid 4-star minigame. Some people might not like the random nature of it, and yeah, there's not a whole lot of gameplay to it besides going up to a plunger and hitting the A button. But that same randomness is what makes it so fun and tense. It's a game that could be simple and easily forgettable, but it really rises beyond that. So yeah, 4 stars.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, and hit the bell, and come back for our next video where we'll be talking about bumper balloon cars. Will the balloons carry us away? Come back to find out. Hope to see you then.
Stop!
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Today's minigame is another battle minigame called Bumper Balloon Cars. It's all about survival. Oh, and the protection of the balloon that everyone has on the back of their car. If it pops, you're out, and whoever is the last one standing wins. But don't worry, you're not completely defenseless. On the front of every car is a spike you will be using to pop everyone else's balloons. Now get out there and leave no survivors.
I think the thing that makes this game challenging is the controls. You can't move forward and turn at the same time. You have to choose which way you want to go while you're standing still and then go that way. It leaves you a little vulnerable to attacks if you're not quick.
I like the controls. It reminds me of the old Resident Evil tank controls. I remember when I would play it and half the thing that would make it so scary was just the clunky controls. It made it really scary, and this game is a lot like that. Things feel really hectic and wild because you're just all over the place in your car. And really, I think it would be kind of a boring minigame if it just had regular controls.
I guess I could see that, but at the same time, if you're just trying to move, it doesn't leave you a lot of time to get to the players. I only ever hit anyone else by chance because most of the time I was busy messing with the controls.
Yeah, they definitely take some getting used to. And the game is over so quick also. It makes me wonder if it would be a longer game if there was good controls or a shorter one. On one hand, I feel like maybe it would be longer because you'd be able to dodge out of the way a lot easier. But also, maybe it would just be shorter since you'd be more accurate popping everyone else's balloons. I don't know.
That's a good question. Either way, I think I'd feel more accomplished after playing like that than I do now, though. Since for me, it's more about luck than skill.
Yeah, I can see that. Even though I enjoyed this minigame, I still think it's just kind of a 2-star minigame. I liked it for what it was, but the controls are really divisive, and it's also over extremely quickly. Even if it was fun, playing it for maybe 5 or 10 seconds is barely an experience at all, and then you're just back to the regular board game part of Mario Party.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed our review, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. We'll be reviewing Bumper Balls next.
Yay, more bumpy games.
Hope to see you then. Hello, and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. We have another returning minigame today, and it's a ball.
Oh.
A bumper ball. The point is the same as always. Bump the other players off the edge without falling off yourself. This time, there's a few different versions of this stage to contend with. Lava, ice, and the one with some bumpy bumps on it. The lava one is really just the normal stage, while the ice level is more slippery, and the bumpy bumps obviously give you some bumpy bumps to contend with. But is it better or worse than it was in the first game? Let's find out!
Well, right off the bat, I'll say that the gameplay isn't radically different from the first one. But it's still just as good as before. It's not a bad minigame.
The biggest change is the levels. I think the one I enjoyed the most was the ice level. It was the hardest because the center is extra slippery, but it really helped move your opponents further after you bumped into them. This made it so you needed to bump them a few less times to get them to fall off.
I wish every level played like the ice level, actually. The extra speed you got and the extra bouncy bounces you gave people was a lot of fun, and it's what I've always wanted out of bumper balls.
I think there was extra strategy in the bumpy bump level.
Yeah, I don't know. The bumpy bump level is just kind of annoying to me. I feel like you can never get a lot of momentum, and you just never had the speedy speed to bumpy bump anyone off the edgy edge.
And between those two levels is the lava level. This one is a basic level with no extra gimmicks.
Yep, if you want to play the experience you got in the original bumper balls, this is a level for you. Overall, there were some fun improvements from the first game, but it still has the same issues. It's really fun, and the stages bring some good variety, but it never gets past the fact that you never have enough power to hit people off the edges. The ice level's really good to me because it gave me that speed I wanted to really send people flying, but the other two stages aren't that special to me. The one with bumpy bumps isn't my favorite.
I think you had more fun saying bumpy bumps than you did playing the level.
I think I did too. And the lava level is good, but it has the same problems as the first game. So overall, I think I still have to give this minigame 4 stars.
I agree. Well, that's a wrap for this review. If you enjoyed our review, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. We'll be reviewing Cake Factory next. I'd recommend watching the review after eating the meal so you don't leave hungry. Hope to see you then!
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Is it just me or does a nice, fresh, factory-made cake sound delicious right now? If you like the taste of a cake right off the line more than some old cake Peach might make for Mario, you've come to the right place. Cake Factory is a 2 vs 2 minigame where you'll be working with your partner to create as many delectable cakes as you can. You're each in charge of one ingredient and you need to lay them down on a conveyor belt in the right order for it to count. To do this, you press A to grab your ingredient and release A to put it down. Whichever team creates the most cakes takes the cake.
I thought this was a pretty enjoyable minigame. There's a solid amount of skill and coordination with your teammate to make sure things run smoothly. But one wrong move can set you back, and that happened a few times to us.
Oh, for sure. It's really tough because when you make even a single mistake, it can be hard to get back on rhythm. I feel like the timing just gets off and just makes it really hard for a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I think something that makes it challenging is that the items don't repopulate. So when you're used to grabbing your strawberry every couple of seconds, but then when you go to grab it and it's not there, you have to wait a little bit longer, but then your partner has been waiting for a lot longer. So the timing is definitely something you've got to work with.
Oh, for sure. And there's been times when I've been all primed and ready for my partner to grab their item. And because I'm in that rhythm of timing already, I'll put mine down in the wrong order and then we're just even more off. So even if they do grab their item, we're still off. So it's just twice as hard to get back on track.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, I would drop my strawberry because I assumed there was a cake there even though there wasn't one.
Yep, me too.
And I think one thing about this is that even though the timing was kind of tricky, I feel like you really had to work with your partner. This wasn't one of those 2 vs 2 mini games where one person was doing all the work and the other one was just skating by. You both had to do an equal share of the work.
Yeah, and speaking of skating by, this reminds me of something like Desert Dash from the first game. It kind of has that same sense of rhythm and timing that you need when you're working with your partner, compared to a lot of 2 vs 2 minigames where, maybe you're on the same team, but it's not really as much about teamwork as it is just getting through the minigame together.
Yeah, definitely. Although the person who had the task of getting the cake did have it a little bit easier than the person that had to get the strawberries. I feel like the strawberries had a little bit of a smaller hitbox to pick them up, so they were more challenging to get. But overall, the controls were pretty good, and it was pretty equal.
Yeah, I remember you saying something when we first started playing about having a hard time picking up the strawberries, and I didn't really understand it because I did cakes to start off with, and it was pretty easy to me. But once we played again and I moved over to strawberries, I definitely agree that because they're smaller, they're harder to grab for sure.
Yeah, they were. This game made me pretty hungry for strawberry cake, but other than that, it was pretty good. I'd say it definitely gets 4 stars.
Yep, me too. 4 stars sounds good for this. It's a lot of fun. I like the timing minigames, and I like minigames where you're really working with your partner. It might be hectic and hard to stay on timing, but that's really part of the fun to me, so 4 stars definitely works, I think.
Agreed. Well, thanks for watching. We'll be reviewing Coffin Congestion next. Sounds like Mario has a cold. He's coughing and congested.
Oh, mamma mia.
If you can't get enough of these bad puns, like, subscribe, and hit the bell, and watch our next video. Hope to see you then! Hello, and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review! Today's minigame is another item minigame, Coffin Congestion.
Whoops, sorry about that.
Each board in Mario Party 2 gets its own item minigame, and this one belongs to Horrorland. And that's not too surprising given the theming of this minigame. You find yourself deep in a dungeon surrounded by 6 identical coffins. 5 of them contain items and the other contains Baby Bowser. Your job is to follow the items from coffin to coffin, and then choose the one you want at the end. If you choose the one with Baby Bowser though, you get nothing.
Okay, so I just want to start off this review by saying this minigame has amazing theming. As everybody knows if they've watched my original review of Ghost Guest from the first game, I love anything creepy, and this satisfies that same itch. I'm glad we get another minigame with this creepy type theming.
I'm not super into the theming, but it is nice to have an opportunity to win an item.
Yeah, if you're the player that gets to play this minigame, it is nice to have a chance to basically be all but guaranteed an item. Compared to Bowser Slots, which was the last item minigame we played, this makes it way easier to get one.
Yeah, not only that, but it makes it really easy to get the item that you want, too. In the beginning, it's pretty easy to see what items are available, and then pick the one you want and follow it from there. I think Bowser slots was a little bit more random, and you might not get any item at all.
Yeah, I feel like in Bowser slots it was more likely that you wouldn't get an item. You have to line up all 3 slots on the slot machine in that one to even get a chance at an item. So it's pretty difficult to get one, and even if you do, who knows if it's one that you even want or need.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't really have any problems on this one on getting the item I wanted, but on Bowser slots I definitely did.
So overall, I do think this is a better item minigame than Bowser slots, if only because you're pretty much guaranteed an item. But having said that, it's still not a great minigame, and because of that, we're gonna have to give it 2 stars. It's good for what it is, and it has good theming, in my opinion. But really, you're just walking up to a coffin, and choosing which item you want. There's a little bit of work to be done in following the item around the screen as it moves, but even that's not that tough, so you should have no problem walking away with at least some good item.
Yeah, you're likely to leave this minigame with your pockets a little bit heavier. Well, thanks for watching this review. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell. We'll see you guys next time for Crane Game.
Oh great, can't wait to play this one again.
You might be surprised. Alright, well, hope to see you then.
Finish!
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Today we have the unfortunate task of reviewing Crane Game, one of the original Mario Party's 10 worst minigames. Something tells me we won't be pulling in any treasure with this one, but hey, we should give it a chance, right? The rules in this sequel have changed somewhat from the original. In this one, you have to bring all 3 players to the pipe to win, unlike before when you only had to grab one. To make this task easier though, there are now time bonuses you can collect. Each will add time to the countdown. Get everyone to the pipe before time runs out and you win.
You know, in our last review, when I said this game might surprise you, I was wrong. There were no surprises on this one. It was bad.
Yeah, I was hoping some of the changes they did would help elevate it above what the original game did, but no, it is still the same old crappy minigame.
Yeah, even with the time bonuses, it was still a challenge to get everyone into the pipe.
For sure. If you drop people more than once or twice, you're pretty much guaranteed to run out of time before getting everyone to the pipe, and that's even accounting for you collecting the extra time along the way.
And on the flip side, playing as the person getting picked up wasn't any better. You didn't even have to do anything until someone came right over you. And then I was never even sure if the wiggling was effective or not. I mean, sometimes it seemed like it was, but other times I'd be mashing A, and I still would get captured.
Yep, I had these same problems in the original minigame. I mean, at least in this one, everyone gets the chance to play. In the original, you would only have to go for one person before the minigame ended, so no more than half of the players would even ever play this one. Although I'm really not sure if that's an improvement since you're just button mashing the whole time. Maybe it'd be better if you didn't play this one.
Yeah, and another issue with this one was where the time clocks dropped. It was random, so if 15 seconds was the furthest away, it wasn't really worth it to grab it because it takes 10 seconds to get it, and then you have to get it into the pipe. So you really want to strategically grab the extra time, although you usually end up needing all of it anyway. So I don't even know if that was a good change. And it was a little challenging to try and place yourself above where the clocks and the people were. Sometimes you'd think you were lined up, but when you tried to get them, you weren't, and so then you fell down to grab them and tried to pull them up, but ended up wasting a turn, which ended up wasting time.
Yeah, if there's one thing good I could say about this minigame, is that they really captured the feel of playing crane games in real life. It's unfair, it feels like it doesn't work, and your chances of winning are not very good.
Yeah, I felt robbed playing this game, just like a crane game in real life.
That's Mario Party. So as you can probably tell from the way we've been talking, there's really no other score to give this one than 1 star out of 5. It does make some changes from the original minigame, but none of those changes help make it into a better minigame. Sure, everyone gets the chance to play this one, as opposed to in the original where 2 of the players would literally do nothing. But is that even a good thing when you're just button mashing the entire time? I don't know. And then other issues don't help either. The random placement of the extra time means it might not even be worth it to go for them, and it can be hard to keep your hold on players. I don't know how to tell if my button mashing is working or not. Sometimes I feel like I'm doing great and I drop them, and sometimes I feel like I'm not going that fast and I get them all the way to the pipe. 1 star.
Agreed. This is the one that when it pops up, you hope you don't have to play it.
For sure.
We'll come back for our next video to see how crazy things get in Crazy Cutters. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Hope to see you then.
Finish!
Hello, and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Today's minigame is Crazy Cutters. And yes, it's a sequel to Crazy Cutters from the first game. The first improvement comes from the fact that the title of this subtly, but more accurately, represents the fact that there are multiple cutters playing. That S at the end makes all the difference. As far as gameplay goes, everybody's goal is to precisely cut out the enemy shape in the ground by simply using the control stick to move. Whoever is the most accurate cutter wins the minigame.
Wow, I'm so glad to play this one again. This was one of my favorite minigames in the original Mario Party, and not only that, but I feel like it's slightly improved. But we'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It was pretty fun to play, and I like that there's variety on the enemies you cut out. There was the Chain Chomp, which was all circular, the Blooper, which had the subtle curve around the loop part, and the third one was Cheep Cheep. That one was the most challenging of the 3, I think.
Yeah, definitely. It had the most twists and turns. I like a minigame with good variety so that you're not always cutting out the same thing. Makes it stay a little fresh. Another improvement I think really goes a long way in this one over the original is the fact that only one person wins this one. In the original, anyone scoring 80% accuracy or more would win the minigame, but in this one, only the person with the highest accuracy wins. I think that's a small but really good improvement. It makes it so that every percentage point matters and really makes it a little more tense than before.
Yeah, it makes you have a good sense of victory when you win. It means that even if you only won by 1 or 2 points, you were the winner. And those 1 or 2 points can really make a difference.
Yep, it's definitely tense. Reminds me of all those tense times back in kindergarten where you were furiously drawing with your crayons and trying to stay inside the lines. But woo, what a rush when you finally did it.
Yeah, or like in kindergarten when you have to cut on the dotted line, but it feels like the lines are moving. Wow, kindergarten was a tense time.
Ooh, tell me about it. I'm sweating just thinking about it. Cutting those dotted lines was when I first learned about pit stains.
Well, I didn't have that issue. My palms were definitely a little sweaty on this minigame.
Yeah, but it makes it a lot of fun when you're playing against other people. So our last review was of Crane Game, a pretty bad 1-star minigame. But today we're back with equality with another 5-star minigame. Okay, great.
Yeah, it was a 5-star minigame.
She's really excited about this one.
It's not every day you get a winner.
Tell me about it. No, I feel the same way she does. This is a great game. I love the original and I love this one. It's a simple concept, but it's a lot of fun cutting around the dotted lines. And the fact that they changed it so that only the person who cuts out most accurately is a winner is a big improvement for me, I think. This one's great.
You just never know what your day will bring with Mario Party. It could be a day at the races, like our next minigame, a day at the races.
Ooh, good segue. Well, if that didn't pull you guys in, nothing will. If you want to see that, like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you can come back and play it with us.
Hope to see you then.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Today we're reviewing Day at the Races. What a calming name. Not something you'd expect from a battle minigame where everyone has coins on the line. Much like Bowser's Big Blast, this game is all about random luck. At the start of the game, every player chooses one of 4 racers: Womp, Thwomp, Boo, or Babomb. And from there, you just sit back and relax as you watch the action unfold. Each racer will make their way to the finish line, and whichever player chose the winner wins. So what'd you think of this one?
I thought it was a bit boring. You're right, you do just sit back and watch. But that's not how a battle minigame should be. There should be some action, some excitement.
Yeah, I agree, and even compared to another random minigame like Bowser's Big Blast, this one just comes up short.
Definitely. Even though in both minigames all you did was press A, in Bowser's Big Blast, you press A maybe twice. This one you only press it once.
Yeah, wow. When you put it that way, they are pretty different.
Not only that, but the feeling's different. Bowser's Big Blast is very intense, and this one just really wasn't.
I know, I don't know what it is. If you think about it in your head before playing this one, you would think that this could be just as tense as that one was. I mean, watching a race unfold and having all of your coins on the line is pretty tense. But somehow in reality, it just doesn't have that same feeling. I remember playing Bowser's Big Blast, and every time it was your turn at the detonator, you almost physically tensed up when you hit the A button. In this one, it just feels like you're making a random choice, which you were in that one as well, but this one I just didn't feel attached to.
Yeah, I agree. Even though your coins are on the line, I just didn't feel like I had any connection with the player I picked.
Yeah, same.
This is a 2-star minigame.
For sure. It's quite a contrast from Bowser's Big Blast, which is kind of odd to me because when you think about it, they're both basically the same concept for a minigame. But somehow the feeling and execution are just very lacking in this one.
Alright, well that's it for today. Come take a dive with us for Deep Sea Salvage on our next review.
I'll grab my scuba gear.
You'll need it. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell to watch our next video.
Hope to see you then.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Today we're playing a free-for-all minigame that goes by the moniker Deep Sea Salvage. The players take their personal submarines and take to the sea as Hammer Bros throw down coins at them from above. But beware, because they're also throwing down spikes that'll stun you if you get hit by them. Look out for those and spend your time collecting as many coins as you can before time runs out.
You know, this really reminds me of a love child between two minigames from the first game. The first one is Treasure Divers, and the second is Hammer Drop. Hammer Drop also has a Hammer Bro throwing down coins and hammers at you, and Treasure Divers has you underwater bringing treasure to the surface. But it's still the same concept, you're underwater getting money, so if you take those two minigames and throw them together, this is basically what you get.
Yeah, I guess those must have been popular because it is a pretty similar game to those. Also, why are the Hammer Bros always throwing stuff at us?
I don't know, they're a little sweet and sour. Throw money with one hand and spikes with the other.
I guess if you can avoid the spikes and just get the coins, then it's worth it, right?
Yeah, if your reflexes are good enough, I'd take advantage of it. It sounds like a good deal to me. I feel like there's two different strategies to this minigame. The first is to stay near the surface, and the second is to go further below. If you stay near the surface, you have a chance to get more money before anyone else can grab it, but on the flip side, you have less time to react to the spikes that come down. I chose that strategy, but staying towards the bottom and taking whatever money is left and not really having to worry about the spikes is just as legitimate, I think.
Yeah, I've tried it both ways. I don't think I really had a preference, but I can see how one would work better for some than others. I think when you were towards the bottom, it was kind of nice to be able to have the freedom to move without running into other players and get to have the pick of what you wanted to grab. But sometimes there weren't a lot of coins to grab and it was just the spikes, so it wasn't always worth it.
Yeah, so overall, this minigame's okay. I don't really have anything against it, and it is nice to get some coins. It's just not anything special. I think this is the very definition of a 3-star minigame.
I agree. I mean, I can't complain when I'm getting coins, so I say 3 stars.
Yeah, it might not be the most fun, and it's definitely not the most original, but it gets the job done, and free coins.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. We'll be reviewing Destruction Duet next. Hope to see you then.
Finish!
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Today we're reviewing Destruction Duet, a 2 vs 2 minigame all about destruction and teamwork. Your goal is to destroy your Bowser statue before the other team does by kicking, punching, and hip dropping on it. Each move does a different amount of damage, so plan accordingly. If you want to destroy the statue first and bring in a new dawn to the Mushroom Kingdom free from tyrants, your job starts now.
I like the idea of this minigame. I think it's interesting and unique, especially for a 2 versus 2 minigame. But I didn't think it was that fun to play.
I didn't either. There was a lot of things that I felt like hindered the execution of it. The first one was just the visual indication you had of how well you were doing. While you're playing it, your statue does break down and start to crumble, and it does get smaller, but it doesn't keep getting smaller until it disappears or something. It just keeps getting smaller until you win, so it's hard to know how close you are to the finish line. I mean, it's nice to see that you're ahead of the opponents, but it just keeps getting smaller until all of a sudden it says you win, so you never know how well you're really doing or how close to the end you are.
I agree, and it's hard to play and keep an eye on your statue and see, compared to the other teams, how well you're doing. It's just too hard to see who's winning until the end when it's obvious. I think it would help if maybe there was a progress bar to see like the percentage of Bowser you've destroyed, or maybe a point system of how many kicks or punches you've done. Something that makes it a little bit more clear on who's winning.
Yeah, that would definitely help. The other problem I had with it was the controls, and namely just the fact that it's way too easy to get out in front of the Bowser statue. If it kind of limited you to only staying on the sides of the statue and had some sort of invisible barrier in front of it, I think it would be a lot more fun. Half the time I felt like I was just struggling to stay on the side of Bowser, and if you get out in front of it, then you have to waste time repositioning yourself on the side, and it's just not very fun. You could argue that that's just part of the strategy and gameplay of it, but regardless, that gameplay isn't fun. I would rather be limited to just staying on one of the sides so that I could just concentrate on breaking down the statue.
I agree. I think the other way they could have done this minigame would have just been a button masher minigame, which this is more fun than that, but I think just having too much room to move around makes it difficult.
Yeah, same.
This is a 2-star minigame. It's visually hard to see how well you're doing. The controls aren't great, but it is an interesting concept.
Yeah, this is one that's really hindered by execution. If they had improved on some of the things like giving you a better visual indicator of how well you're doing and tweaking the gameplay so that you couldn't get out in front of the Bowser statue, it would be a lot more enjoyable.
Agreed. Well, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Come back for our next review of Dizzy Dancing. Hope to see you then.
Finish!
Hello, and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Have you ever spun around in circles and then sat down to play Mario Party?
Yes?
Of course you have. We all have. But now you don't have to, because Dizzy Dancing replicates that feeling for you. The goal of the game is to reach the treble clef in the middle of the spinning record. But the catch is that since you're so dizzy, all of your controls are a bit wonky, so it's going to take some time and effort to get into the middle and win.
I liked this one. This one was fun to me. I like these really silly ones that do something dumb and then you get to watch everyone messing up around you.
Yeah, it was fun. I think I was a little frustrated while playing because since you're dizzy, none of your controls are what you expect them to be. And that's kind of hard to comprehend.
I know, I definitely had trouble with that at first. I feel like my brain was able to adjust to it pretty easily after a while. But I think it just depends on the kind of person you were. Once I realized that it basically just assigns forward to a different random direction on your control stick, it basically became me just trying to find that direction as quick as possible and then beelining for the treble clef in the middle. But it was still pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean, I tried that strategy too, but it didn't stop me from trying to move my control stick right to go right, even though I knew that's not going to be right. And once I found the forward direction, it was hard to stay in that direction.
Yeah, that's true. If you have to turn it all, it is really confusing to figure out what way you're supposed to turn the control stick. But I like mini games like this where it takes a really simple concept and turns it on its head. It makes it a lot funnier to play and watch, and it's really what I like out of Mario Party minigames.
Me too. This minigame is a 4-star minigame. It's a good mix of being random and chaotic, like all of our favorite minigames are. And even though the concept's simple, it's a lot of fun to play.
Yep, it's a good one. Alright, well that's it for today. If you like this video, like, subscribe, and hit the bell, and come back for our next one. We're going to be reviewing Dungeon Dash next, so stay tuned.
Hope to see you then.
Finish! Start!
Hello, and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Today's minigame is the 2 vs 2 Dungeon Dash, and if it seems familiar to you, that's because this is Mario Party 1's Desert Dash in a new package. The goal of the minigame is to be the first team to reach the end. To do this, you have to flick the control stick left and right in time with each other to move. If you get off, you'll be stunned for a second. And watch out for obstacles along the way. Getting hit or smashed by any of them will really set you behind.
This is your classic left, right minigame. The one that makes it feel like you and your partner are stuck in a canoe together.
Yeah, it's pretty fun though. I really like having to coordinate and yell out the controls to each other, especially when you're playing with 2 other people, because then it gets really confusing listening to everyone, and you can also do things like try and mess up their timing.
Yeah, that's always fun. I feel like the only way to play is to yell out your commands to your partner. Otherwise, how do you know if you're on the same page or not?
Oh, definitely, there's no way around it.
Well, on top of moving left or right, you have to avoid fireballs and thwomp. Did you find it easier to power through and keep going, or to stop and avoid them?
I always just kind of powered through it. I don't know if that's the best strategy, but it really just comes down to personal playstyle. I'm not sure if one takes more time to do than the other, but I just always felt like I would rather keep going and hope that I got through it rather than stop and potentially waste more time. At least this way I might come out ahead. And even if you do get hit, it usually doesn't set you back so much that you can't make up ground by the end of the race, unless the other team doesn't make a single mistake throughout the entire thing.
That's true. I did get hit by a fireball and still came in first. But other times I felt like I did everything right and didn't, so I guess the other team was a little bit faster than me sometimes.
Yeah, it really just depends on how everyone does, but it has a nice little intensity to it.
That it does. I like that it's a pretty straightforward game too. It's a solid 3-star minigame, I'd say.
For sure. I actually rated Desert Dash 4 stars in the original game, but looking back on it, I think that might have been too high. This is a good game and I do enjoy playing it, but I don't really think it stands with the other 4-star minigames in Mario Party. It's good, it's just not that special, I don't think. Having to call out the controls to your partner and strategize like that is fun, and it can lead to some fun situations if you have 4 people all doing it in real life. But when it comes down to it, it's a pretty simple minigame, and once it's over, I enjoyed it, but it doesn't stick with me as one that I look forward to.
Same. It's one I like playing, but never one that I hope I'm gonna play. Well, if you enjoyed our review, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Come back for our next video where we'll be reviewing Facelift. Ooh, wasn't that your favorite in the last Mario Party game?
Yeah, it was. I hope this one's just as good. I don't really know if it can be any better. If it is, we might have to introduce a 6th star to our minigame scale, but we'll see.
Ooh, we're leaving you on a cliffhanger. Well, if you want to see what happens, watch that review. Hope to see you then.
Finish!
Hello, and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. We're in for a treat today because it's time to once again play Facelift. This was Justin's favorite minigame in the original, so no pressure. But we have high hopes for the sequel. Let's see if this one is all Botoxed up and tighter than the original, or if it's in need of its own facelift. Gameplay is the exact same as the original. You're given an example of either Yoshi, Peach, or Luigi with a distorted face, and it's your job to stretch and pull your own model to match it. Whoever is the most accurate will win the minigame.
I'm so glad it's back. I had so much fun playing this every time. What did you think? Do you like it as much as the original?
I did! I thought it was a lot of fun. I liked that there was more variety on the faces that you were matching.
Yeah, that was probably the most noticeable change. I don't know that it makes a huge difference on gameplay, but it might help a little bit just to bring some variety to what you're doing. If you're playing with Peach's face, you have to worry about things like how her hair is moving and things like that. Whereas with Yoshi, who doesn't have hair, you might just be pulling his cheeks and his lips and stuff like that. So it gives you different things that you have to watch out for every time you play.
Okay, did you think Peach was the hardest person to contort, or was it just me?
Yeah, she was probably the most difficult, mostly just because of her hair. Her hair on the back was mostly hidden, so it was hard to even notice when it was moving, unless you were really paying attention.
I agree. At the beginning, they show images of the character before it was contorted, and then slowly they show you what happened to it before you have to match it. And I had a hard time figuring out what was changing.
Yeah, same. I only noticed after I compared mine to the picture and saw that my hair was a little bit different, but I never saw it move at the beginning.
Me too. Well, big question. Does it hold up? Is this another 5-star minigame?
I think so. Gonna have to give it 5 stars.
Woohoo!
It might not do anything drastically different from the original, but that's not really a bad thing. When you're playing a minigame that's this fun, there's not really a lot to improve on. I remember in the original I said it might be a good idea to do something like have asymmetrical changes where you had to pull one cheek out and not the other, just to make it a little more difficult. But maybe that would make it too difficult. Maybe you have to keep it symmetrical just to keep the game moving. Might be too much to pay attention to if you have to look at all these differences on both sides of the face. But other than that, I think it's great. It keeps what's great about the original. It doesn't add anything that makes it worse, and there is some variety in the faces now in that you have 3 different ones to change instead of only one like the original. It's really fun.
I agree. This could even end up in our top 10 video at the end. We'll see though. If you enjoyed our review, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Come back for our next review of this tongue-twisting game, Filet Relay. Hope to see you then.
Finish! Ready, go!
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Today's minigame is Filet Relay, a delightfully rhyming named game. But is the gameplay just as delightful? We'll see. Filet Relay is a 1 versus 3 game, but the gameplay is more or less the same no matter which side you're on. You're some sort of chimeric abomination of a creature that mixes your head with a penguin's body. It's your job to bring your one single fish to the end of the course for a crowd of starving pangolets. I'm not really sure why both sides can't just give them both fish, because I'm sure they'd appreciate it, but as we've definitely found out already, the world of Mario Party is not a fair one. To move through the slippery stage, just mash the A button, move left and right, and go as fast as you can. If you're on the team of 3, you'll be passing the fish off to each other to get to the end. And that's it. On to the review.
I enjoyed this minigame. I thought it was fun to play by yourself and on the team of 3.
Yeah, same. There's not really a big difference in what side you're on, besides the fact that if you're on the team, you're only playing a third of the level. But the gameplay's not bad, so win-win, I guess.
I think it had a little bit of intensity trying to race the relayers when you were playing on the team by yourself.
Yeah, definitely. It's made even harder by the fact that if you hit any of the players or the walls, you bounce back a pretty decent amount, so it really eats up a lot of your time.
Yeah, that added some strategy to this button masher game. Having to weave between the icy cave and take it slow up and down the hills, or fast, depending upon your strategy, was fun.
Yeah, definitely. One thing I did notice is that sometimes I would randomly fall over. I'm not sure what it was from. Was it just going up and down the hills too fast, or was there something else I wasn't picking up on? I feel like I'd always do the exact same thing, and sometimes I'd fall over and sometimes I wouldn't.
Yeah, that happened to me too. I saw myself wobbling a little bit, where I'd lean a little bit back and not fall over, but you could tell I was off balance. I'm not sure what was happening. Maybe we just hit some slippery ice that we didn't see?
I guess, I don't know. I never picked up the pattern from it.
Me neither. It's one of those Mario Party mysteries.
So how do we feel about Filet Relay? I think it's good enough to earn 3 stars. It's honestly pretty fun, especially for a button masher. There's a little bit of variety in the fact that you're going through the level and trying to dodge out of the way of the other players as well as the walls. So it gives you something to do besides sit there and hit the A button until you reach the end. There's times when you'll randomly fall over, and I'm not sure when that happens, but it doesn't really hold the game back. I really just see it as a side effect of being on slippery ice and losing your footing. For being a button masher, this one's a pretty solid one.
Yeah, I thought it was really fun. Well, thanks for watching today. If you enjoyed our review, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. We'll be reviewing Give Me a Break on our next minigame review. Hope to see you then. Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Oh man, what a fantastic name. You know, Mario Party never ceases to amaze me. One day, you're playing a minigame with a name as generic as Crane Game. And the next, you're playing one with a clever pun based on the gameplay called Give Me a Break. It gives me high hopes for today's minigame. So what do we have here? Oh, it's a single player item minigame? Well, I guess that could still be good. What's the gameplay like? Oh, okay, so the items spin around on the train track, and you just have to give the A button one good bop to stop it? That doesn't sound the most exciting, but maybe I'm just missing something. Let's find out. Well, am I missing something?
No, definitely not. It's exactly what you think you're getting. You watch the item spinning around on the train track and hit A to stop it.
Did you have a hard time getting the item you wanted?
Maybe at first. The train does take a little time to fully come to a stop, so you have to kind of figure out when to pull the lever to make it stop on the item that you want.
What was your strategy?
Well, I found that if you hit A when the item 2 items behind the one you want is in front of you, the train will stop on the item that you want. So once you know that little tidbit, it's pretty easy to always get the item you want after that.
Wow, just doling out Mario Party secrets right here. How long did it take you to figure that trick out?
It definitely does take a few playthroughs of this minigame to figure it out. So if you're just playing this in a regular session of Mario Party, you might not know that, but after you've played through it a few times and took notice of where it stops based on where you pulled the lever, it's pretty easy to learn the trick and to always get the item you want after that.
Well, that's good.
What did you think of it?
I mean, it's an item minigame, so I guess getting an item is nice. But as far as the game goes, there wasn't a whole lot to it. I did like it better than the Bowser slots, but I think it was about on par with Coffin Congestion.
Yeah, which really isn't saying much since none of these item minigames are that great. They've all just kind of been excuses to potentially get you an item.
I do like that. I like that there's an opportunity to get an item. But as far as being fun to play, it really wasn't.
Nope, not at all. Just like the rest of the item minigames, this one's getting 2 out of 5 stars. The gameplay is simple, you just hit A and get an item. The only real strategy is to pull the lever at exactly the right time so that the train stops and gives you the item that you want, but other than that, it's just another generic minigame. And chances are, you're going to get an item, even if it's not the one you want most.
Alright, well that's it for today. If you enjoyed our review, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. The next minigame we'll be reviewing is Grab Bag. Who knows what you're gonna get?
This one was actually in the first game, so we have a pretty good idea already.
What a mystery! Hope to see you then!
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. We've got another returning minigame on our hands with today's Grab Bag. Just like in the original game, this is a free-for-all minigame, but that doesn't mean it doesn't pull off a few new surprises. In the original, your bag was filled with all of your own coins, so every time someone was able to steal some from you, it hurt on a very personal level. This one changes it so that everyone starts with mushrooms and your goal is to end with the highest amount. There's one gold mushroom in the mix worth 3 points, but the rest are just worth 1. Run up behind some unwitting victim, mash on A, and take as many as you can before time runs out. Oh, and feel free to mash A when somebody tries to steal yours as well to stop them.
So even though there's a golden mushroom added, it's not nearly as intense as the original when you're playing to protect your own coins and take the points of the other players.
Yeah, the stakes definitely don't feel as high this time. I mean, now it's just kind of a regular minigame where the only reward is 10 coins. It doesn't change a round of Mario Party nearly as much as that one did.
I know, that minigame could change the course of the whole entire game. If someone was close to getting a star, you could just take those coins away from them and they won't be able to get it on their next turn. Or you can take coins from the player who's in the lead. It really did have the potential to change the whole game.
Yeah, I feel like that's a step back for this one. The only real strategy in this one was to keep your eye out for the gold mushroom. If anyone stole the gold mushroom from another player, you do visually see it go into their bag, so it's a good opportunity to gang up on that person and try and take it for yourself.
Yeah, that's true that whoever has the gold mushroom does become your next target. However, if you're the one with the gold mushroom, at least you can mash A to try and keep people from taking it from you. Although, I don't know, did you feel like mashing A actually did anything?
I don't know. I mean, I definitely did stop people once or twice from stealing mushrooms from me, but it was incredibly tough and I was rarely able to do it. I don't know if it's just because it's too hard to focus on mashing A when you're trying to steal other people's mushrooms or what, but somehow my timing was just never good enough to stop people from stealing from me.
Yeah, mine wasn't really either. And another thing to note, when you're trying to steal mushrooms from the other players, you do have to be directly behind them. You can't be off to the side or at an angle. You have to be pretty close to them and right behind them.
Yeah, I kind of wish that the hitbox for grabbing people's bags was a little bit bigger. I think it'd be more fun if you were able to kind of do it from the side a little bit, but maybe that just would have made it too crazy.
Yeah, I think that would be more fun, but it would probably cause too much chaos. I think my favorite part of this minigame, though, was the bizarre things our characters would do at the end. We noticed that sometimes they would take a really long way around to get back to their spot, or they'd get stuck in a corner and just do the same repetitive movements over and over again. That was a little strange.
Yeah, that was funny. It must have just been a weird glitch, but we saw it at least twice, I think.
Yeah, I think our characters were enjoying those mushrooms a little too much.
I guess so, jeez. So overall, this is an okay minigame. It's hard to stop people from stealing from you, and it's a little unrewarding to steal from them, I think, just because the hitbox to do it is so small. I also don't like that the stakes are lowered in this game and you're not playing for your own coins anymore, but I guess that's a matter of personal opinion. I rated the original grab bag 2 stars out of 5, which, looking back on it, might have been too low. This isn't a bad minigame, it's just not that great. It's a very middle-of-the-pack minigame that's okay to play once in a while, but never something you'll look forward to. For that reason, we're giving this one 3 stars out of 5.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Our next video, we'll be reviewing Hammer Slammer.
Slammer? I hardly know her.
Anyway, hope to see you then. Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Oh man, they aren't letting us down with the rhymes this week. Hot on the heels of Filet Relay is Hammer Slammer, another single-player item minigame. As usual, for these item minigames, it's a simple concept. This time, to get an item, you have to pull back your hammer to build up power and unleash it on the shuttle to send it shooting up. If you estimate your strength well enough, you can land on exactly the item you want. Just be sure not to land on Baby Bowser, or you'll be left with nothing.
Well, it's another item minigame today. I feel like there's not going to be a whole lot to say about this one.
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah, they're all just okay. They do exactly what they set out to do.
I did like it better than Bowser's Slots, though. That's been my least favorite item minigame so far.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's the only one where I feel like your chances of walking away with nothing are pretty great. In all the rest of them, as long as you don't land on Baby Bowser, you're gonna at least get something. You might not get exactly the item you want, but chances are good that you will leave with something. With Bowser Slots, unless your timing's just great, you're not gonna get anything.
Yeah, this one kind of reminds me of the Give Me a Break item minigame. It has that same idea of you have to estimate your time a little bit to figure out what item you're gonna get.
Yeah, and just like in that one, unless you play it over and over a bunch, it's hard to estimate how far back you need to pull your hammer to get it go exactly as high as you want to go.
Yeah, unless you play it a few times in a row, it's hard to get familiar with how far to pull it back. There's not a whole lot else to say about this one. It's another item minigame. You have a pretty good chance at getting an item, which is a nice opportunity, but it doesn't really do anything special. It's exactly what you would expect. Overall, just like the rest of the item minigames, 2 stars.
Agreed. Well, that's it for today's review. If you liked it, like it. And while you're at it, subscribe and hit the bell. Our next review will be for Handcar Havoc.
You know, any minigame with the word havoc in it is gonna be wild.
Well, we'll see. You never know with Mario Party.
That's true. It's always wild with Mario Party.
For better or worse. If you want to see that review, come back to watch it.
Hope to see you then.
Ready, go!
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Today we're playing another returning minigame from the original Mario Party, Hand Car Havoc. I can't pretend to be all that excited about this though, because the original was not a good minigame. I gave it 2 stars out of 5 and I stand by that review today. We'll link to that video now and in the description if you want to watch it. Having said that, everyone deserves a second chance, and for that reason, I'm willing to once again play through Hand Car Havoc, but I'm not happy about it.
In case you didn't know, Hand Car Havoc is a 2 versus 2 minigame. Each team is tasked with riding a hand car as fast as they can to the finish line. And what would be the most fun way to play this minigame? If you ask me, it would be mashing the A button. I wish every game controlled like this. Ha ha ha. You can also lean into the turns using the control stick to go around them faster. So it's great fun.
Well, so much for second chances. This one still sucks. I do not like this one at all.
I mean, any minigame you have to mash A in is automatically not a fun minigame.
Yeah, true. I don't know why they throw in so many of them. Maybe just because they're easy to make, but very rarely do I feel like it's more fun than some other control option they could come up with.
I know. I mean, at least on this one, there's a slight variation in gameplay when you have to turn the control stick around the corners, but it's really not that much of a difference than just mashing A in a normal minigame.
And even leaning into the turns is just confusing to me. Like, I just don't get it. Sometimes it'll come up and say miss on the screen after a turn, but what does that mean? Did I not lean far enough into the turn? Did I do something else wrong? I don't know how to fix it. I think it would be much more helpful if they had some other words on the screen to help, like, oh, lean in more, or you're leaning too far, or something small like that. But miss after I'm already out of the turn doesn't really help me.
I know, and you're not sure if you're leaning in too far or not far enough, or if it's your teammate who's leaning in too far or not enough. It's just too hard to tell. The only thing this game does have going for it, however, is that it's relatively quick to play, so you're not stuck playing it for a very long time.
Yeah, unless you're us and you're playing it over and over to get footage for this review.
Yeah, thanks viewers. I guess we just like to torture ourselves for you.
You better appreciate us. One thing I will say is that the course is more interesting than it was in the original minigame. I don't know if it really adds a whole lot to this because at the end of the day you're still doing something that's just not fun, but at least there is some variety in the look of the course and how many twists and turns are in it compared to the original. I guess that's something.
I don't think that's enough though. Overall, this minigame isn't fun to play, you're just mashing A the entire time, and leaning into the turns can be confusing. There could be more course variation, just to keep it more interesting, but overall, you are just mashing A, so it's not that great. This is on par with the minigame from the first one. It's also a 2-star minigame, unfortunately.
Agreed. Well, that's it for today's review. Glad we got that out of the way. Our next minigame is Hexagon Heat, and I have higher hopes for this one because, from the looks of it, it seems to just be a reskinned mushroom mix-up, which I gave 5 stars in the original. Will it stand up to that one, or fall flat like this one? We'll find out.
Hope to see you then.
New record! Start!
Hello, and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Remember Mushroom Mix-Up from the original Mario Party?
I do.
Well, you should. You played it. Well, Hexagon Heat is a reskin of that. If you don't remember it, it's if they don't remember it, if you don't remember it, it's linked below for you to enjoy. This is a free-for-all minigame where Toad will hold up a colored flag, and your job is to get to the right colored hexagon before the rest of them fall. Along the way, you can jump on other players' heads to slow them down or ground pound them to stun them for a few moments. Just watch out, because you're bound to be knocked back a bit if you try this, so plan accordingly. The last to survive wins!
What a great minigame for them to bring back. I mean, sure, they did also decide to bring back such gems as Crane Game and Handcar Havoc, but the fact that they brought this one back almost redeems that.
Yeah, this one was great to play. I really enjoyed it, which you can't say that often about the mini games we're playing.
No, this one's always been a lot of fun, and it's just as fun in this one. It does look different, but other than that, it's the same thing, and that's not bad at all. Unlike a lot of minigames from the original, this one really didn't have a lot that I thought would make it a better minigame. It was great as is, so I'm glad they didn't change anything.
Me too. This one also has a little bit of nostalgia for me. It reminds me of elementary school when you're playing red light, green light, and that's equally as fun as this minigame.
Yeah, that was always a lot of fun. This one's an equally simple concept like that, but it is elevated by the fact that you can attack other people. There's a surprising amount of strategy in that because anytime you decide to ground pound someone or jump on them to try and stop them from moving, you have quite a bit of recoil where you'll go bouncing off of them, so doing something that hinders them also hinders you if you're not careful.
Yeah, that was my problem a little bit in this one. My first strategy was to take a very offensive strategy, and when I would get to the colored hexagon, I would try and jump on everyone or ground pound them, and more often than not, it served me wrong and I ended up falling off instead of the person I was trying to get to fall off.
Yeah, you definitely have to play it careful. One tactic that I found worked well was to wait until the other hexagons were starting to rise up again. That way, if you ground pounded on someone, you would be able to bounce off onto one of the other colors and still have time to make it to whatever the next color the toad held up was.
Yeah, that'd be a much better strategy than what I tried because I always fell off. Overall, this one was really fun though. It's a simple concept and it's pretty similar to Mushroom Mix-Up, but why change a good thing? This was very fun to play and I wouldn't change anything about it. This is another 5-star minigame.
Yay! Well, that does it for today. I'm glad we're finally playing another classic. I feel like I needed it after playing Handcar Havoc.
Me too. There were too many minigames with 1 or 2 stars. Almost made me feel like I'm not going to stick around for the rest of the Mario Party 2 minigames, but this one might have me convinced to stay.
Yeah, trust me, I've been feeling like that since the beginning. But tomorrow we're in for more Havoc with Honeycomb Havoc. Is it going to follow along with Handcar Havoc and be just a total dud, or will it be more like this and be a lot of fun? I'm hoping it's like this, but we'll find out next time.
Hope to see you then.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Boy, it's been a week of Havoc for Mario Party. We just got done playing Handcar Havoc, and now we're back with Honeycomb Havoc. Will it keep the truthfully very little amount of Havoc from Handcar Havoc, or give us something really crazy?
We'll see. Honeycomb Havoc is a free-for-all minigame that almost plays out like a puzzle game. Fruits, honeycombs, and the occasional coin will fall down from the ramps from the tree. You can choose to either take 1 or 2 items, and your goal is to avoid taking a honeycomb. If you do end up taking one, you're out and you'll get stung by a lot of bees. Whoever is the last one standing wins.
You know, this one surprised me. Before we played it, it didn't sound like a very exciting minigame, but I think I liked it a lot more than I thought I would.
Me too. This one's pretty slow-paced, but I actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think the slow pace was something that I thought would hinder it, but it really doesn't. Not every minigame should be this slow, but it does kind of break up the monotony, and for what it is, it's really fun.
Yeah, all my other favorite minigames tend to be a little bit fast-paced and a little chaotic, and although this one's a slow-paced minigame, it does still have that havoc that it talks about. Until you get close to the honeycomb, picking 1 or 2 items doesn't really have that crazy feeling because you can't really tell who's gonna get the honeycomb. But when you get down to like the last 5 items before the honeycomb, it gets wild.
Yeah, I like that. And all the mini games where it's kind of a last one standing and you just kind of have to keep surviving round after round are really tense to me. The longer you stay in, the more hopeful you are to win, but the more afraid you become that you're gonna lose. That's fun to me.
Me too, it made my palms a little sweaty, which I did not expect from the description of this minigame. I don't think there's too much strategy you can have in this one though. It's mostly just random.
Yeah, I was wondering that while I was playing. Was I missing the opportunity to increase my chances of winning, or is it more or less just random until you get down to the last few items before a honeycomb?
I always selected 2 items, but mostly it was just to try and get to the havoc part faster. So I don't know if that was even a good strategy or not. One thing I did like about this minigame, though, was that I think it has an even playing field for everyone. If you play a lot of video games, you're at an advantage in most of the minigames. So I think this is a good one to have in the mix because it's good for those people who maybe haven't played video games very much or young children. It's just a good minigame to have in there.
Yeah, that's a good point. This is one that allows anyone to have a real chance of winning. So yeah, I liked this one. It doesn't have the fast pace of a lot of minigames, but that's okay. There's still a tenseness to it as more and more people are out, but it's fun. I can't say there's a ton of strategy until you get right up close to a honeycomb, but once you do, it is fun to sit there and say, oh good, I can win, or oh man, no matter what I do, I'm going to die. I liked this one a lot more than I thought I would. I think we should give it 4 stars.
I agree, it was a lot of fun. Well, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Up next, we'll be reviewing Hot Ba-Bomb. Hope to see you then.
Finish!
Hello, and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Well, it's another returning minigame today, but I'm excited for this one. It's Hot Ba-Bomb. The concept for this one is simple. Toss the bomb to each other and hope it doesn't blow up in your hand. It's like a scary version of Hot Potato. The big change in this one compared to the original is that unlike that one, which ended once someone blew themselves up, this one keeps going until there's only one survivor. So you know what to do. Toss that Ba-Bomb at a friend and hope they die before you do.
You know, I can't help but feel this one takes 1 step forward and 1 step back. On the one hand, my biggest gripe with the original was that it ended once one person blew up, so I do appreciate that change and think it improves this a lot. But on the other hand, they added this mechanic where you have to hit A to throw and hit B to catch the bomb, which I just don't like at all. I much prefer the original where you just automatically caught it, and I think it should be the same here. It's not really fun to have to try and juggle when you hit the B button, and I just feel like I can never really get the timing down. My chances of catching it and not being stunned for a few seconds like happens when you don't hit the B button at the right time was like maybe 50-50 at best.
I agree, I do not like that they added that. It was kind of hard to figure out when you needed to press B exactly, and it just didn't make for a fun game.
I know, it just seems kind of like unnecessary clutter. You could say it's just part of helping give this game a little bit of depth, but I just think it's unnecessary clutter that isn't fun to actually play.
I agree, this game would have been more fun if you didn't have to press that button. Another thing that this game does is that you get to move your control stick to choose who you want to pass it to. However, if you don't move it at all, it just goes to the person directly in front of you. That could be kind of a strategy though, because if you want to pass it off as quick as possible, then don't even bother moving your control stick and it'll just hand off to the next person across from you. However, another strategy could be holding onto the Ba-Bomb as long as possible. That way, it's a little bit scarier when you pass it off.
True, there's definitely different approaches you can use, and I do appreciate that, just like I did in the original minigame. I'm not saying this one's horrible because it does still have some fun to it, but I just can't help but feel disappointed that, in my eyes, the controls hinder it so much. They definitely had it right by making this one continue until only one person was left, so I do appreciate that. But unfortunately, it just doesn't even make it to the same level as the original minigame to me. We're gonna have to give this one 3 stars. Yeah, I mean, it's still not a horrible score. It's okay, it just could be so much better.
I agree, I had high hopes for this one, but it was just fine in the end. Well, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. We'll be reviewing Hot Rope Jump next. Wow, a couple of hot minigames back to back.
And returning ones.
Come back to watch it and see what you think. Hope to see you then.
Finish! Start!
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. The returning minigames continue today with Hot Rope Jump. Hot Rope Jump was perhaps my biggest disappointment in the original Mario Party. I wanted to love it, but it was such a missed opportunity. One would assume that it would have turned into a highly tense minigame as everyone tried to survive the rope made out of potaboos. Unfortunately, in the original, anyone who survived 20 jumps would win the minigame, which really stopped it before it even had the chance to get fun. This one rectifies that though by only rewarding the final survivor with a win. But will that be enough to ascend it to greatness? Let's find out.
I'm a little torn on this minigame. I do think it improved a lot from the original. However, this minigame might be too stressful for me. Timing on this has to be perfect. Otherwise, you're not gonna make it. For me, I'm not very good at getting the timing right to press A to jump over the rope. It caused a lot of anxiety for me, but that kind of made it fun.
Yeah, that anxiety is exactly why I love this so much. This is everything I wanted out of the original minigame, and it's just as fun as I thought it would be. It gets so tense when it's down to only two of you and you're both just jumping and jumping, and the jump rope gets really, really fast and you're both jumping and jumping, and then somebody finally loses and you win. It's so rewarding.
That made my palms start sweating just hearing you talk about it. The stress on this one is real.
Yeah, I love that though.
I guess it did make it kind of fun. It also made it fun saying Potaboo. What a fun name to say. Potaboo, Potaboo, Potaboo.
That is a fun name. Whoever thought of that one did a good job.
For all of the minigames that were in the original and then came back for Mario Party 2, I think this one wins the most improved award. This fixed exactly what needed to be changed in the original to make this one more fun.
Definitely. It only really introduces that one change from the original, but it's all they had to do to make this one great. Even though you definitely have to be good at timing to play it, it's a lot of fun and it's so tense, and it's a great minigame to play with friends. It's getting 5 stars.
Woohoo! Even though I wasn't very good at it, it did make me want to keep playing it. It was actually a lot of fun, even though it was so stressful. I hope it didn't make you guys watching too stressed though, so thanks for watching it. If you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. We'll be reviewing Lava Tile Isle next.
Wow, that's a hard one to say.
Yeah, I bet you can't say it 10 times fast.
Well, nope, that's not.
Alright, well, we'll see you on our next minigame review.
Hope to see you then.
Hello, and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. When we reviewed Hammer Slammer, my favorite part of it was the fun rhyming name. Yeah, that game isn't the greatest, but at least the name was fun, so that's why I'm excited for Lava Tile Isle. I figured that even if the minigame's bad, at least the name's good. Lava Tile Isle is a free-for-all minigame. It takes place on shifting tiles, and your job is to survive until the end. You can punch people and ground pound on them to help knock them off. And watch out for those shifting tiles as well. You don't want to be stuck on them when they move, or you'll fall off.
I liked this one. It's a lot like Hexagon Heat, but maybe just more offensive in its gameplay. That one was more about just surviving, and while you could hit other people, it wasn't the main thing you were trying to do. I feel like the gameplay in this one definitely urges you to punch everyone else off the edge a lot more than that one did.
Yeah, it really does. But the thing you have to be careful about that is that if you're gonna ground pound or punch someone, you shouldn't do it on the tiles that are closest to the lava. Whenever I did that, I noticed that the recoil of me punching or ground pounding someone on those tiles made me fall off into the lava and not them.
Oh yeah, you definitely have to watch that. There's a lot of recoil on every hit you take. You really have to be strategic about when you do it and when you just try and play it safe and survive.
Yeah, especially if you're playing a smaller character like Yoshi and you go to punch or ground pound someone like Donkey Kong, because you're gonna fall off pretty quick.
You also definitely have to watch for when the tiles start to move, because if you're on them, there's a pretty good chance you're just gonna fall right down into the lava. So if you're in the middle of battle with someone, it's probably best to just get out of the way instead of trying to knock them off the edge right then.
I think probably the best strategy on this one would be to do more of a defensive strategy and try and just stay alive instead of attacking everyone right away.
Yeah, I agree. If you just let everyone else battle it out until it comes down to you and one other person, you probably have a pretty good chance of survival. Sure, you'll eventually have to get that other person to fall off, but you know, if they come up to you trying to hit you off, there's a decent chance that they'll just end up knocking themselves off and let you win the minigame. So yeah, defense is a pretty good strategy, I would say.
Definitely. Overall, it was a pretty fun minigame to play though. I like just trying to stay alive and not fall into the lava when the tiles were shaking and avoid the other players. It was pretty fun.
Yep, it's a lot like Hexagon Heat, but that's one of my favorites, so that's okay. This takes a more offensive approach to the gameplay, And while I don't think it reaches the highs of Hexagon Heat, it's still a really fun minigame if you want something that's a little bit more about battle and not as much about just survival like Hexagon Heat. We're gonna give it 4 stars.
Yeah, it was a pretty fun minigame. Well, that's it for today. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Thanks for watching. Next, we'll be reviewing Lights Out.
Ooh, scary.
I know, it kind of sounds spooky. Hope to see you then.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Whoa, who turned out the lights? Oh, never mind, my screen just wasn't on. That's better. Today's minigame is the 1 vs 3 Lights Out. The person on their own has a hammer while the other 3 players have light bulbs. The person with the hammer has to smash all the bulbs before time runs out. But to make matters more difficult, the lights will be out, so the hammer player won't know where they are unless they're near a light bulb.
Okay, so this one was surprisingly really fun to play.
Yeah, agreed, especially for a 1 vs 3 minigame. I feel like this is usually my least favorite category of minigames.
Mine too, but both sides were equally fun to play, and I think one thing this game did really well too is that each side had a good level of difficulty too. It wasn't like one side was more fun to play or the other side was more difficult. They both were equally fun and equally difficult.
Yeah, I know, this might be the first 1 vs 3 minigame where I would be fine playing either side of it.
Oh, I agree. I think that has a lot to do with the game being in the dark, so both sides didn't know where they were going, and it just added a little bit of chaos.
Yeah, it did, but it was really fun to run around and realize, oh man, there's the hammer player, and have to run away. It's one of those games that's just kind of exciting and fun to play.
Yeah, especially when you're carrying the light bulb and you're just wandering around and then all of a sudden you see the hammer approach just out of the corner of the light bulb. You know you've got to dodge the other way.
Yeah. Another nice, unexpected touch that was added to give this a bit more depth was the fact that when a player with a light bulb gets hit, they just kind of sit on the ground. So if you don't remember where everybody got knocked out at, you might run around in the dark and get stuck on them and not know why you can't get past this thing. So I think that was just like a cool little added mechanic that you have to worry about.
Oh gosh, yeah, that happened to me. I couldn't figure out why I couldn't move, and then all of a sudden I got cornered and got hit by the hammer.
Yeah, that was pretty fun.
For you, maybe.
So overall, I really like this minigame, and not just when I compare it to other 1 vs 3 minigames, it's just a really fun minigame overall. It's really fun playing in the dark and not knowing where the hammer player is or trying to find the players with the light bulbs. And little added touches like having to watch out for bodies of the players that have already gotten out really elevate it. I think we're going to give this one 4 stars.
Yeah, I like this minigame. It was a 4-star for sure. Well, thanks for watching. That's it for today. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next, we're reviewing Look Away.
Look away, you're not that bad at this game.
Gosh, well, we'll see. Hope to see you then.
Start!
Hello, and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Look away, I'm hideous.
No, you're not. There's a Yoshi out there for everyone.
Yeah, you're right. I'm a catch. But today's minigame is Look Away. It's a 1 vs 3 minigame. The 3 players on a team have to choose a direction to face, and the player on their own tries to face in the same direction. If the single player looks in the same direction as you do, you're out. And if the single player gets all 3 players out within 5 rounds, they win.
Man, this is the second 1 vs 3 minigame in a row that I've really enjoyed. I think it's definitely better than most other 1 vs 3 games.
Oh, for sure. Again, this one is fun to play as the 1 player and as the 3 player, and it has a good level of difficulty on both sides.
Yeah, definitely. It gets really intense when you're trying to look away from the single player because it's like my instincts can't keep up with what I'm seeing on the screen. So if I see the single player looking down, it takes me so long to get my character to look a different direction and figure that out in my head that it's hard to strategize. But to me, that just kind of adds to the fun, hectic atmosphere of it.
Yeah, I agree. You have a couple seconds at the end to pick your direction, and you go with your first instinct, but then you notice other players are also facing that way, or that the single player is facing that way. So then you go to move, but then everyone else is moving too, so it's hard to keep up. But then the next thing you know, the direction you picked is the one you're stuck with.
Yeah. If you're the single player, I feel like the best strategy is to probably just focus in on one player at a time to try and get them out. If you try and look at what everyone is doing, you're just going to confuse your brain and it's not going to work out well.
Yeah, I think that's a good strategy for the single player. You know, I thought 5 rounds you'd be able to for sure get everyone out, but it was actually a good amount of rounds and a good challenge. It wasn't that the game went on for too long or that it was too short.
5 rounds seem like a good balanced number to give both sides a good chance of winning.
Another thing I liked about this minigame was one of the silly details that it added. Once you're out, you can still participate even though you can't help your team win. And when you're playing, if you face in the wrong direction, your character gets smaller and smaller. And that was really fun.
Yeah, I really like that detail. It's cool that you get to keep playing this minigame after you lose, even if it doesn't really mean anything. At least you're doing something. Plus, just going through it and seeing how small your face gets by the end if you're really bad is funny.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I just wanted to try to play to get my face really, really, really small.
Yeah, that was a great detail.
I think Yoshi made some of the best faces. When I was a single player, it was pretty funny.
I'll have to try and find some of those for the thumbnail. So overall, I really enjoyed this minigame. It's nice and hectic, and it's one of those fun party minigames that everyone has fun playing together. It's kind of hard to strategize if you're one of the 3 players on a team, just because everything moves so fast that it's hard to get your instincts to catch up with what you're seeing. But that doesn't mean it's bad, I just think that makes it more fun, honestly. It's just kind of crazy. And compared to other 1 versus 3 minigames where sometimes it's a lot more fun to play on one side than the other, this one's very balanced on both sides and very fun no matter what side you're on. We're going to give this one 4 stars.
Yeah, it was a good one. Well, thanks for watching. That's all we have for today. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell. We'll be reviewing Looney Lumberjacks next. For some reason, that seems like a really strange title for a Mario Party minigame. But we'll see what happens. Hope to see you then.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Man, I don't know if it's because it's a full moon, but I'm feeling a little loony. And do you know what I always want to do when I'm feeling loony?
Cut some lumber?
Yeah! And I'm in luck because today's minigame is the 2 versus 2 Looney Lumberjacks. The concept is similar to Desert Dash and Dungeon Dash, but instead of hitting left and right in time with your partner to move, you both alternate hitting A and B at opposite times to move the saw back and forth. Whichever team cuts through their tree first wins.
You know, I thought we'd really like this minigame because we both really like Desert Dash and Dungeon Dash. But this is like a worse version of those minigames.
I know, I was really disappointed. It seems the same concept except you're doing the opposite thing, so if anything, I would have thought it would add a layer of confusion that would make it more fun in that party atmosphere, but it just adds a layer of confusion that makes it not fun to play.
Yeah, I think maybe the window of time that you have to hit the button at the same time as your partner is too small.
Yeah, that seems like the biggest problem to me. It's like one person would hit the button at just the wrong time, and then they would move on to the next button, but it would register as a wrong hit because your partner wasn't able to move on to the next button. And then it was a guessing game of, oh, was I in the wrong or were they? And then you have to sit there and figure out who was wrong and what you need to do to get back on track. And then when you get back on track, you need to kind of time it out so that you both hit the right button at the correct time. And it takes so long that one mistake really puts you back a lot.
It really does. I noticed that the button kept lighting up whenever I would hit it wrong, but I didn't know if I was hitting the wrong button or if it was at the wrong time. I think it was just too hard to coordinate with your partner too.
I know, and we even try to coordinate in the same way that we did with Dungeon Dash, where in that one we would call out left, right. In this one, I would just call out 1, 2, 1, 2 since we were doing different things. But it didn't seem to help. I don't feel like we were able to keep on rhythm with each other. So I don't know if that's because we're just bad or if the window is just so small that even calling out timing was not precise enough to keep us on track or what, but we just didn't have a good time with this one.
Yeah, it was really too bad because I was looking forward to this one because the name is so fun. You never think of Mario as a lumberjack, you only think of him as a plumber. But if we're wrong, let us know in the comments below if you guys love this minigame or not. Maybe we just didn't give it enough of a chance.
Yeah, maybe. Overall, I wanted to like it. It seems like the same concept as Desert Dash and Dungeon Dash, which we enjoyed enough, but somehow the timing on it is really hard. And if you get off track, it takes so long to figure out who did the wrong thing and how to get back on track. So, unfortunately, we're gonna have to give this one 2 stars out of 5.
Wah, wah, wah. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. We'll be reviewing Magnet Carta next. Hope to see you then.
Finish!
Hello, and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. You know, sometimes the names of these minigames seem pretty hit or miss. Crane Game and Slot Machine are so devoid of creativity, it's like they're not even trying. On the other hand, you get a pun like this one that plays off of Magna Carta that also makes pretty much no sense. I mean, the Magna Carta has absolutely nothing to do with this minigame. In this minigame, you and your teammates have tiny cars with magnets on the front that allows you to pick up coins, bags, and a treasure chest and bring them to the hole on your side. There's no winners or losers in this one. You just try and rake in as much cash as you can.
Yeah, what a kind of average, forgettable minigame this was. I can't say I really enjoyed playing this one a whole lot, and it's not even because of the controls. I know you don't like these controls. They're the same controls that we had in Bumper Balloon Cars, and I don't have a problem with tank controls.
I do. I don't like them.
Yeah, I know. To me, they're fine, but that's not really my problem with this minigame. The problem is that there's just not a lot to it. You're in a car that's kind of badly controlled and you're just bringing things from one spot to another.
Yeah, I think the only redeeming quality about this minigame is that you get coins at the end.
Yeah, I can't complain about that. But even that is kind of weird because this is a 2 versus 2 minigame. It's not often that you play these minigames with a partner and you're both cooperating to try and get coins. This seems like a perfect candidate for a free-for-all minigame to me where however many coins you collect is how many you get. I'm not sure why they decided to do the 2 versus 2 mechanic with this.
Yeah, I think that was kind of weird. Another thing about this minigame is that it's random on where the coins and the money bags populate, so we noticed that one time all the money bags were on the other team's side. It doesn't seem like it's very consistent or fair.
Oh yeah, that kind of sucked. If anything, there should be the same amount of coins and money bags on both sides.
Yeah, I'm not sure why there's not.
I'm also kind of confused on where this level takes place. Like, are we in a mine or something? We just have like this random glowing hole on both sides of the screen that we're throwing our money into. I'm not even kidding, what are we doing here?
Yeah, this one doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. It seemed like it was a last-minute rushed minigame that they just needed to create.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those ones that you just kind of play and forget about. It's nice getting coins on this one, but after it's over, you're just kind of like, well, what now? And you move on to the next one. The tank controls might be a little divisive, and it does kind of suck when there's no bags on your side and they're all on the opposing team's side. So there's not really a whole lot to redeem this one. We're gonna give it 2 stars.
Wah, wah, wah. Boy, we just had 2-star minigames in a row. I hope the next one's better than this.
What's the next one?
We'll be playing Mallet Go Round.
I don't remember this one.
Sounds kind of dangerous.
As are a lot of these Mario Party minigames, if we're honest.
That's true. Mario seems to like his danger, but I guess that's why he's always chasing after Bowser.
Yeah, Peach must like those bad boys.
She must. Well, if you enjoyed this review, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Come back to see Mallet Go Round on our next review. Hope to see you then.
Finish!
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Oh man, you're going to love today's minigame. It's minigames like this that make creating these videos worth it. Today we're playing one of Mario Party 2's best minigames. Wait, Oh no. Oh no, I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong minigame. Shoot. Today's minigame is Malico Round, and it's yet another of Mario Party 2's item minigames. In this one, items spin around in front of Mario. Each of them are on top of 2 blocks, and you have 10 seconds to hit both blocks out from underneath an item. Do this and you'll win that item.
Well, it's another item minigame, and you know how we feel about those.
Yeah, I feel like every time we play another one of these, we have even less to talk about.
Too true. I think the biggest thing to know on this minigame is unlike Give Me a Break, there's no delay when you hit the box. So when you swing your hammer, it's not like you're gonna have to time it to try and get the right item. You swing it and it's whatever's in front of you.
Yeah, as far as item minigames go, I feel like this finds a good balance between being a minigame where you're not always going to win an item, but still giving you a fair chance at one.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is the perfect amount of challenge for an item minigame.
It's not as impossible as Bowser Slots is to win, but it's not a giveaway like Coffin Congestion or even Hammer Slammer was.
You know, Coffin Congestion did have the best theming though.
Well, I can't argue that.
Besides this minigame having a good amount of challenge, the other thing to know is that you have enough time before the timer runs out to get a couple of hits in. So if you're not sure exactly how to time it, or if you just want to try and hit and then see what you get, you have that time to play around. I think I got in about 3 hits before getting an item each time.
Yeah, you can definitely miss 1 or 2 and still get an item if you're quick enough, so that's nice.
And I think it's pretty easy to avoid getting the bad items like Bowser too.
Oh yeah, for sure. So that's about it for this game. As far as item minigames go, it's not the worst, but you know, it's no better than the rest of them. It's nice that this one has at least a little bit of a challenge to it, just because I think if you're going into an item minigame, you should put in a little work to get an item. It shouldn't just be a freebie. But beyond that, there's not much to this one, just like the rest of them. You just kind of hit a button and see what item you get. Like the rest of them, we're giving this one 2 stars.
Yep, pretty consistent with the other item minigames. Well, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. We'll be reviewing Mecha Marathon next. Hope to see you then.
Finish!
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Today we're talking about Mecha Marathon, a free-for-all minigame. Remember the Mecha Fly Guy toy from the first Mario Party? It was a little unlockable item that you could purchase. We'll put the link below if you want to check it out. To use this toy, you'd rotate the control stick as much as you could to make the Mecha Fly Guy fly. This one's basically that, which sucks, but it has been improved upon. Well, improved upon. I'm using air quotes here in case you couldn't hear them. Because instead of burning your palm by spinning the joystick, they switched to button mashing for this one. Yeah, so much better. You have to press A and B at the same time to spin your Mecha Fly Guide until the time runs out. Whoever's toy flies the farthest after that is the winner. So this is my least favorite kind of button mashing minigame.
Oh god, me too. This one just sucks. At least some of them try and pretend to have a bit of strategy to them. Maybe you have to jump over obstacles while button mashing, or maybe you have to alternate back and forth between 2 buttons in time with something.
Or someone, even when they make it a partner minigame, it's better than this.
Exactly, but this one doesn't even try to do any of that. The only thing special about this one is that you hit 2 buttons at the same time, but that's not special.
It really isn't, and even the course is lackluster. There really is no creativity in this minigame.
Tell me about it. It's literally just a straight line, and you see who goes furthest on a straight line.
Yeah, we really don't have much to say about it other than that. But I know there is one thing you guys want us to talk about.
What's that?
The strategy of what fingers you use while button mashing.
Oh yeah, this argument.
Okay, so I start off using my thumbs on each hand to try and mash A and B at the same time.
Yeah, I don't like that strategy. I tried that too after I saw you using it, but it just didn't work for me. My hands kept getting out of sync. I like using my pointer and middle finger on the same hand and just going to town on those buttons. That way they stay in sync.
Yeah, I did have that problem. My left hand's a little bit slower than my right, but from using both thumbs, I switched to using both pointer fingers. A little bit better, but maybe not as good as using 2 fingers on the same hand. Do you guys have a strategy for this? What do you like to use?
I think the only other valid strategy on this one besides using your pointer and middle finger on the same hand is just to make a fist and smash your controller in frustration at having to play yet another horrible, mindless Mario Party button mashing minigame.
Okay, and on that note, I think we're gonna end the review because this is getting in a dark place.
Yeah, there's really nothing redeeming this minigame. It's forgettable, there's nothing special about the course, there's no strategy involved. You're literally just hitting the buttons as fast as you can until time runs out and seeing your toy go in a straight line. That's not fun or exciting. This one's getting 1 star for sure.
Wah, wah, wah. Well, if you somehow enjoyed this review, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. But please come back because I promise the next one will be better.
No, don't do that. You never know. There's always something worse out there.
You're right. I shouldn't make any promises I can't keep. Well, if that doesn't keep you on edge, I don't know what will. Our next minigame is Move to the Music.
Okay, blah, blah, blah. I'm so over this minigame. 1, 2, 3. Hope to see you then.
Okay!
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Today's minigame is the 1 vs 3 Move to the Music. This one is reminiscent of Mario Bandstand from the original game, although it does have some key differences. Since this one is 1 vs 3, the single player is in charge of deciding the button presses. It's a game of follow the leader as the team of 3 must remember the order the single player pushed the buttons. If the single player is able to get all 3 players to mess up after 2 rounds, they win. If even one person on the team survives though, they all win.
I think the first thing to note on this minigame is how jazzy the music is.
Yeah, I was digging it. And it's nice that there's 2 different music tracks in this one too. It gives a little variety in the minigame.
Yeah, that was pretty nice. I think this is a little bit of a challenging 1 vs 3 minigame though. I feel like the leader rarely ever won. I think that had a lot to do with the fact that there were only 2 rounds. The first round was pretty easy to stay in because there was only around like 5 or so buttons you had to memorize. The second round was more challenging and it had a lot more buttons to memorize, but I think the game made it a little bit easier because you don't have to memorize all of them. You were only responsible for pressing a few of them.
Yeah, the first round is kind of a gimme round just to warm everyone up, so it barely even counts. I don't know that anyone really ever got out on the first round very often.
I mean, I'm sure I did, but that was probably more me and not the level of difficulty of the minigame.
Well, I will say that I actually did get out on the first round a time or 2, but that was also because of you, and let me tell you why. So there's a little something we found out about this minigame where sometimes she just wouldn't press a note at all, and logically I thought, well, she didn't press anything, so I won't either. But I kept missing because of it, and I couldn't figure out why. I thought maybe I hit a button very lightly and just accidentally hit it. I thought maybe the controller was glitched, but I never had a problem with anything else. And then I found out that if the leader doesn't hit a note at all, you have to hit any button at all to survive. So if you hit nothing, you're automatically out. To me, that just seems kind of backwards.
Yeah, I feel like the leader should be penalized for not hitting a button because that's the whole point of being the leader is to choose what buttons and what order to press them in. And if you don't press anything, that just kind of defeats the purpose of the game.
They could have done something like maybe just remove that note so that the team of 3 had less to memorize. Or they could have introduced rest notes and just had the team memorize those as well. But the way they did it seems backwards to me.
Yeah, but maybe they weren't accounting for the leader to just be grooving to the music too much and forget to press a button, though.
Yeah, this seems like something that not a lot of people would run into.
What can I say? I was just having too much fun with this minigame.
Not something you hear a lot from Mario Party.
Isn't that true? This is a 1 vs 3 minigame, but once again, the level of fun is about the same on each side. Each team has about the same to do. One has to pick the notes, well, or not, I guess, in my case, and the other has to press them in the order that they memorized them in from the leader. So it's about the same.
Yeah, I suppose that's nice. At least this one isn't lopsided where one side is really fun and one side isn't at all. Those are always a little harder to review. This one doesn't suffer from that one, but it's still just okay. It is a little fun having to memorize the notes, and figure out little strategic ways to mess with the players and make them miss, but it's still not extremely fun. It's a little bit hard for the single player to win since there's only 2 rounds and one of them is extremely easy. And the team of 3 only needs 1 survivor for them all to win, so it's a little lopsided in that respect. Other than that, the music's okay, but the gameplay is just fine. It's nothing special. We're gonna give this one 3 stars out of 5.
Yep, it was an average minigame. Well, thanks for watching today. If you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. We'll be reviewing Mushroom Brew next. Hope to see you then! Hello, and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Well, we've got another spooky one for you if you're into that. Mushroom Brew is one of the Mario Party 2's all-new dual minigames. I'm surprised we haven't played one yet because every board in the game has its own, and Mushroom Brew happens to be Horrorlands. The person who got the minigame chooses another player to duel against, and also gets to choose how many coins each player has to put on the line. Your job in Mushroom Brew is to be the fastest and most accurate person to add different mushrooms into your cauldron. You do this by hitting A, B, and Z as it corresponds to what is showing on the screen. Whoever has the best brew at the end wins all the coins.
Oh, this one was surprisingly fun. I actually really liked this.
Me too. I think the concept's kind of simple with just pressing a button that corresponds to whatever's on the screen, but it was really fun and it was really tense.
Yeah, I always like these minigames where you have to hit the buttons really fast in order. I don't know if we've played very many yet, but I do know there's more in future Mario Party games.
Me too, and I think the fact that you get to choose how many coins are being risked adds an extra level of tenseness.
Yeah, I definitely really like that. It reminds me of playing Bowser's Big Blast where you're just trying to be the last one standing and the more it goes on, the more tense it becomes. This is just like that except with one other person and potentially a lot more coins on the line.
Definitely. Or on the other side of that, if you don't feel very confident going into the game, you don't have to risk a lot. That way you won't have to lose that many.
Yeah, but where's the fun in that?
I mean, that's true. That's not really the Mario Party spirit either.
I also really like the fact that the winner is based on who is fastest and most accurate. I feel like the more we played this one, the more I psyched myself up about it. At first I was doing really well when I was just worrying about hitting the right buttons, and then I started to tell myself to go faster to ensure that I beat you, and that's when I would just screw myself up. The faster you go, the more chances you have of making mistakes and hitting the wrong buttons, but that's pretty fun.
Oh yeah, it's a really easy concept. I mean, you're just pressing the button that corresponds to what's on the screen. But no, the level of intenseness makes it so much harder, and it makes it really easy to make dumb mistakes because you're trying to do it really fast. But that's what makes it fun.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like this one is fun just to watch. Like, if you're one of the 2 players that's not participating in it, I feel like it would still be exciting just to see who would win and what's going to happen. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think the other thing about this minigame that makes it so good is the theming. I know each course has its own theme, but the fact that they go one notch further and make sure that the players are dressed in their costumes while playing these dual minigames really makes it good.
Agreed. Overall, this one's just pretty good in everything it does. It might not necessarily be a full minigame, but it's still a lot of fun. It's really tense battling over your coins, and the concept itself is also really exciting. The fact that you have to worry about accuracy as well as speed gives you so much to think about that it brings an added level of depth to what might just be a simple concept. The theming is really good, and it's one that would be fun to watch even if you're not playing. So we're gonna give this one 4 stars out of 5.
Yeah, this one was great. Well, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Our next review will be of Platform Peril.
Oh, I remember this one.
Yeah, we'll see if it's any different than the first one. But we might have a surprise for you guys.
Yeah, stay tuned. We're gonna have something special for you tomorrow.
Hope to see you then.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Today we have a very special review for multiple reasons. First, we're playing another returning minigame from the original Mario Party. It's Platform Peril. But that's not all we have in store for you, you little Goombas, because today we also have a special guest co-host. It's my friend Cohody.
Yeah, thanks for having me here today.
He's going to be here once a week or so playing games with me and Sarah, so I hope you guys like him. As I said, today we're playing Platform Peril, and if you don't remember from the original Mario Party, this one's pretty simple. You go through, you jump on the platforms by hitting A, and you try and be the first to the finish. Whoever is first wins.
This is like a obstacle course meets a race.
It did. It took two things and combined them, and then in the end, it doesn't even matter if you finish. You have to be the first one there. So it's a race and an obstacle course.
Yeah, I guess I'm really not sure why it only lets the first person to reach the end win. This seems like it would have been perfect if anyone that would reach the goal would win 10 coins. But right now, you can reach the end and still lose if you're not fastest. It just seems kind of weird to basically finish the minigame and get nothing for it.
For being almost however old this game is, 22 years old, I was surprised that the controls were still pretty manageable. I don't think that the reason we were falling off so often was the controls, more so just mistiming our jumps.
Yeah, this one was pretty fun to play and pretty easy. I think the worst part about it was the angle.
Yeah, the angle's kind of odd because you would like to maybe be pushing straight up on your control stick, but you gotta push it at like a weird 45-degree angle.
Yeah, I remember having the same issue with the original minigame where I just felt having an isometric view made it harder than it had to be, and I'm kind of disappointed they carried that over into this version.
I think another part about that is when you're kind of veering off to the wrong angle, you can make it so the other characters accidentally jump on top of you or that you accidentally jump on top of them. So not only do you have to watch out for the platforms that are falling or the obstacles in the middle, but you have to watch out for the other players too.
Oh yeah, there's definitely been times when I've accidentally jumped on someone's head and fallen short of the next platform, and it pretty much just ruins you.
Yeah, you can get held up by other people too. I remember there was a few games where I was trying to get around somebody, which is also something that we kind of talked about. I wasn't sure if starting on the outside of the track was a disadvantage. They kind of do sprinkle those hazards throughout the course, but the moving platforms at the end kind of seemed like if you were on the outside, you always had to kind of scoot closer to the inside of the course, and I feel like that would slow you down, and that was one of the points where you would probably get passed by another character.
For sure.
I think one of my favorite things about this minigame is the beginning when they pan over everyone's faces.
Yeah, we liked that. It really shows the field that you're competing against.
So overall, this isn't a bad minigame. Just like in the original, it's enjoyable for what it is, but several problems kind of hinder it from being greater than it is. The angle's kind of hard to get a control over, and even if you do get to the end of the course, if you're not the first one there, you won't win this minigame, so it just seems kind of weird to not reward anyone that finishes the entire thing. For those reasons, we're going to have to give it 3 stars.
Well, thanks for watching. If you guys enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. And thanks, Cody, for joining us.
Of course, I'm glad I could stop by. I will definitely join you again soon.
And if you didn't already see this one coming, our next review will be of Psychic Safari. Hope to see you then.
Finish!
Hello, and welcome to another Mario Party 2 mini-game review. We've got another dual minigame for everyone today with Psychic Safari. As we said in our review of Mushroom Brew, every board of Mario 2 has its own dual minigame, and this one belongs to Mystery Land. Whoever lands on the dual minigame gets to choose an opponent and the amount of coins they have to put into the jackpot. To play the minigame, each player has to alternate hitting A and B as much as they can before the time runs out. Whoever hits them the most wins all the coins.
Yeah, so I don't think this one is as good as Mushroom Brew.
Oh, definitely not.
And I think we both have the same reason for not liking this one, and that's because it's another button masher.
Yeah, unfortunately with this one, it's like they just threw on the dual minigame disguise on a button mashing minigame. The only good thing I can say about it is that it only lasts for 5 seconds, so it's not like you have to mash them for that long.
I guess that's true. We've definitely had to do this for a lot longer than 5 seconds. I guess I'm not surprised that they have one of the dual minigames be a button masher because they're always looking for another opportunity to hide one of these in the game. But still, it just doesn't make for a very enjoyable or exciting dual minigame.
No, it really doesn't. And I also just don't really understand what we're doing. Like, if I had psychic powers, this isn't what I would choose to do. First of all, I would just attack you with my mind. I wouldn't make my relics fight.
Yeah, good point. I kind of like the aesthetic, and it matches Mysteryland for sure, but the concept of the minigame doesn't really make sense. Like, we're putting our psychic powers inside of ancient artifacts and battling them? That seems like something you shouldn't do. Can you imagine if people went to Stonehenge and battled with all the stones until they were destroyed? There would be outrage.
I would be outraged. But I guess the world of Mario Party is different than ours. The other thing about this minigame is that it is a dual minigame. So you get to choose how many coins you want to risk. And the fact that this is a button mashing minigame, it might be a little bit safer to not risk that many coins, because button mashing, you never really know who's going to be the winner because it takes no skill.
Yeah, me and you were pretty back and forth on who would win this. I think I won at first, but then you started winning, and then I would win again.
And then I won again.
Yeah, it was just back and forth, so I'd feel a little hesitant to put a lot of coins on the line.
Same, but that also could be about our strategy for how we button mash, but that's something for another video.
Yeah, let's not get into that. So overall, this just isn't the best minigame. At its heart, it's just another button masher, and although you do only have to do it for 5 seconds, it's still just not fun, especially when you compare it to the other dual minigame we've played so far, which was Mushroom Brew. That one was a lot more fun than this one. If you haven't seen that one yet, we'll put the link to it in the description and at the end of the video. I wish this one was better, but it's not. The dual minigames are fun for their tenseness, but because button mashing is so random, it's hard to want to put a lot of coins on the line. Because of this, we're going to give this one 2 stars out of 5.
Wow, these dual minigames are really all over the map. I wonder what the rest of them are gonna be like.
I don't know, but our next minigame's another one, so we'll find out.
Oh yeah, it does look like Quick Draw Quarks is another dual minigame. Well, thank you all for watching, and as always, if you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. We'll see you tomorrow for Quick Draw Quarks. Hope to see you then. Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. We're back with yet another of Mario Party 2's new dual minigames today. Each board in Mario Party 2 has its own dual minigame, and this one belongs to Western Land. Goomba is apparently officiating an old Wild West duel. Whoever is quickest on the trigger and hits the A button first after Goomba says go is the winner. And since this is a dual minigame, the winner gets however many coins were put into the pot by each player. Good luck, partner. Okay, so this one was really fun.
Yeah, it really was. For a minigame where you're literally just hitting one button a single time, it's a lot more fun than it should be.
That's true. I mean, if this was any other minigame where we only had to press one button once, it wouldn't be very good, but the game mechanic actually really worked with this.
Definitely. Maybe it's just because it's pretty much the furthest away you can get from a button masher. Instead of hitting a button over and over and over again, you're just hitting it once. Short and sweet.
Yeah, and I mean the theming doesn't hurt either. I love the theme on this one, and I think it keeps it true to what would actually happen in this land. Not like some crazy psychic safari that happens in a desert with ancient relics.
Hey, you can't tell me that wasn't a mystery.
I guess that is true. Just maybe one I don't want to solve.
But you're right, this is a lot of fun. This is pretty much the perfect dual mini game. It's really short, which means the people that aren't playing aren't going to have to sit there not having fun for a long time. But it's also super tense.
Yeah, it is really tense. I mean, you're not really sure how much time there is from the countdown to when Goomba says go, but that's what makes it tense and really tests your reflexes.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't as good as I thought. You beat me a lot more than I thought you would.
Guess I'm the sheriff in town. You can call me Sheriff Quickdraw.
Yeah, maybe I won't. So like we've said, this is a pretty good dual minigame. It's short and sweet and to the point, but that's pretty much exactly what you want out of one of these. When only 2 people are playing, you don't want some long drawn out minigame. You just want something tense that's a good excuse to battle with some coins over. The theming is right on point for the board it comes out of, and for a minigame where you're just hitting one button, it's a lot of fun. We're gonna give this one 4 stars out of 5.
Yeah, this was a great dual minigame. Well, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Our next review will be Quicksand Cash.
Yay, I love money.
I don't think it's that kind of cash.
But we'll find out.
Hope to see you then.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Today's minigame is Quicksand Cache, a 1 versus 3 minigame. The single player is in the middle of a giant quicksand pit, trying to suck everyone in. To do this, they can hit left and right on the control stick to change which direction the quicksand is going down in. If you're one of the other 3 players, your only job is to survive and collect as many coins as you can. If you fall into the middle, you're done, and that means no more coins for you.
Okay, so this one was interesting. I think the whole concept of it being 1 versus 3 is kind of weird because the 3 players aren't really working together. You all get the coins that you each individually pick up, so it's not like there's a total amount of coins you get at the end by working together to get the most coins. So it almost feels like a free-for-all minigame, except for one of the players is in the middle. I kind of think this could have been a free-for-all minigame and just had the quicksand in the middle rotate automatically.
Yeah, I guess I'm not really sure why they had to do it this way, unless they were just trying to meet a quota of 1 versus 3 minigames. It definitely is weird just having a single player in the middle.
Yeah, and on top of that, it's not even that the single player does that much. All you get to do is rotate the quicksand going left or right, so you are in control of the direction, but it's not really helping you get more coins or get less coins. So the coins just fall in there if no one's picking them up on the 3 team, but all you get to do is try and get them in the quicksand. So I don't know about that. It kind of doesn't feel right.
I know. When I was playing in the middle, I tried strategizing and seeing if there was anything I could do to get more coins, but there really wasn't. Like sometimes if I saw someone going towards a bag of coins, I would try and switch the direction of the quicksand, but it just never really seemed like it pushed it in my favor very much.
Yeah, I mean, my strategy was to move around the quicksand as much as possible, so I kept switching directions as fast as I could, but that was more to get the players to fall into the quicksand. I don't even think it benefited me in getting more coins or not.
I also found it kind of hard to get the players to fall into the quicksand. It would happen occasionally, but I just found it too easy to survive if I was one of the players on the team.
Yeah, me too. You don't really have to get that close to the middle of the quicksand. I mean, sure, you can try and get as many coins as possible, so you might want to live a little dangerously and try and get those bags of coins in the middle, but you don't really need to.
Yeah, exactly. There's constantly more coins coming into the field, so it's probably better just to play it safe and stay more towards the outsides.
Yeah, I mean, I like getting coins, so that's a plus for this one. But at the same time, the team of 3 is just walking around collecting coins, and the person in the middle is just moving the quicksand left and right. There isn't a whole lot of action to this minigame, and it's not that fun to play.
No, it's definitely not fun to play. If you're in the middle, it's just boring, and if you're running around trying to get the coins, it's just kind of a slog because he moves so slow and it's just really unrewarding.
Overall, this isn't much fun to play on either side, and it doesn't really make sense that it's a 1 versus 3 minigame either. You get coins, but that's about it. I mean, it's too easy to survive on the team of 3, and on the team of 1, you're not doing that much. There's not really a lot of good gameplay. It's just not that fun. We're giving this one 2 stars.
Ah, that's a shame. Well, hopefully our next minigame is better. It's called Rainbow Run. Sounds interesting to me. If you enjoyed this one, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. That way you'll also know when the next one goes up. Please come back to watch it.
Hope to see you then. Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Today we're playing Rainbow Run, and if this looks familiar, it's because it is. This is basically a reskin of Tightrope Treachery from the original Mario Party. And if you haven't watched that review yet, we'll put a link to it in the description and at the end of the video. Rainbow Run is a 1 versus 3 minigame, where one player has to get to the other side of some sort of rainbow road,
Better watch out for carts.
while the other 3 players try to shoot them down. If the single player reaches the other side without falling off and before time runs out, they win. If not, everyone else does.
Yeah, so I actually ranked Tightrope Treachery as a 5th worst minigame in the original Mario Party.
Ouch.
And while this one does make some changes to that formula, it's still not a very good minigame.
Yeah, it really wasn't fun.
I will say that, at least if you're the tightrope walker in this one, you do have a chance at winning. When I played the original, I never won a single time. I honestly thought it was pretty much impossible. This one, at least we both did win occasionally. But that doesn't mean it was fun to be the tightrope walker, it was still pretty tedious.
Well, it wasn't that much fun to be on the team of 3 either, though. You're sitting on a cloud with a cannon, but the cloud automatically moves around, and you can't adjust the angle of the cannon, just the direction it shoots in. So you don't really have much control of your aim when trying to hit the tightrope walker either. And even if you do hit the tightrope walker, it only stuns them for a few moments. It's not like they're gonna necessarily fall down.
Yeah, the fact that you're invincible for a few seconds when you fall gives you enough time to kind of stand up and move back to the middle before anyone can hit you again. It kind of just made this minigame drag on a little bit longer than it should have.
When I was playing as the tightrope walker, I think the most challenging part was that after you get hit, you're stunned. And that stun didn't necessarily make you fall down, but it did take some time away. So if I lost, usually it was because I ran out of time before I could get across the finish line, not because all the cannons that were hitting me were making me fall down.
So overall, I think you can guess that we didn't really enjoy this minigame very much. It might have been a slight improvement from the original, if only because it was easier to reach the other side as a tightrope walker, and visually, I do think it looked more interesting than just a mass of water and some wooden boats below you. But other than that, there's not much good to this one. It's still not much fun to play if you're the tightrope walker, and if you're on the clouds, it takes some autonomy away from you by moving you automatically, so it just gets frustrating when you're in a position where you just can't physically hit the tightrope walker. Overall, it's just not very good. We're gonna give this one 2 stars out of 5.
Well, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. We'll be reviewing Raking 'em In next.
I hope we rake in some fun.
Hope to see you then.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Today we're playing the free-for-all minigame Raking 'em In. Your goal in this one is simple: pull in as many mushrooms as you can. The red mushrooms are worth 1 point, gold mushrooms are worth 3 points, and purple mushrooms take 2 points away from you. Whoever gets the highest score wins. Now mush! I kind of have mixed feelings about this one, even though I did enjoy it overall.
I'm not sure how much I enjoyed it.
That's a bad pun.
I tried. I kind of had fun with this one, but there's some challenges that I also didn't have that much fun with. So the biggest thing on this minigame is timing. The mushrooms go around in the circle, and you have to time it right with your rake to grab them into your bowl, which isn't that hard, but the timing can be a little bit tricky. You need to make sure you don't do it too early or too late, and there is kind of a delay because the rake goes out pretty far.
The delay definitely takes some getting used to. When you start to play this one, you for sure have to kind of see how far away a mushroom needs to be for you to be able to grab it. But once I kind of figured that out, it became a little easier, although not a lot. The mushrooms still kind of weave around your fork thing, so it's never guaranteed that you're going to pull them in.
Yeah, I had a few times where I would try and rake them in, but it wouldn't get close enough to the edge to fall into my basket, so it would just make it way too easy for the player next to me to get those mushrooms.
Me too. This one reminds me of those things at arcades where you put the quarters in and they all kind of push closer and closer to the edge, and if you get them to fall over, you win. It's a lot like that, where you can think you're pulling the mushrooms in for sure, but really all you're doing is lining it up for an easy win for the next person.
Yeah, and on top of that, you have to keep an eye on what mushrooms are near each other, because I had a few times where the poison mushrooms clumped together with all the other mushrooms, so it made it pretty impossible for me to avoid them.
Same, it was always really annoying when they would be right next to a gold mushroom and you weren't sure if you should risk trying to get the gold mushroom or just let it go.
Yeah, the flaws in this game, though, are kind of inevitable because it can't be too easy just to get all the mushrooms into your bowl, because then that wouldn't be fun either. I think if they did that, then the mushrooms would have to keep repopulating, but then it would be too easy. So the delay in timing and the poison mushrooms are kind of necessary, even though they don't make the game that fun.
True, it does give it some strategy. If there was just an endless supply of mushrooms, it would just turn into a game of everyone constantly hitting the A button to see how much they could pull in before time runs out. I'm not sure that would be any better either.
Yeah, that sounds like it would end up being a button masher, and you know how we feel about those. So I guess I'm glad they didn't do that.
Too true. So overall, this isn't a bad minigame, it's just kind of middling. It can be fun and rewarding when you pull in mushrooms and get a really good score, but there are some things holding it back. The delay on your rake is kind of annoying, although I get why it's there. And it's also annoying when a poison mushroom is right next to a golden mushroom or something like that. Anytime you try and pull in a mushroom that just escapes your grasp is also a little frustrating, but that's really what this game is about. It's good, just not great. We're giving it 3 stars out of 5.
Yeah, when it pops up, I feel fine playing it, but it's not one that I ever wished for. Well, everyone, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Our next review is of rock, paper,
Scissors?
no, Mario!
Oh, of course.
Duh, rock, paper, Mario, don't you play that?
Well, I will now.
Well, we hope to see you then. Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Today we're playing Rock, Paper, Mario, another one of Mario Party 2's dual minigames. As you can tell by the name, this is Mario Party's take on rock, paper, scissors. The twist to this one is that the 3 options here are Bowser, Peach, and Mario, so maybe that would have been a better fitting name. Each person is assigned to a button with Mario beating Bowser, Bowser beating Peach, and Peach beating Mario. I guess we finally found Mario's one weakness in life. Whoever lays out the winning character wins all the coins.
Yeah, so when you say that's the twist to this one, it's barely a twist. It doesn't change the gameplay at all.
No, I mean this really is just rock, paper, scissors, but with different characters. Which is kind of fun, but at the same time it's just rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, I guess the only strategy in this one is to decide if you want to put a lot of coins on the line or just a few. Since rock, paper, scissors is so random, it's really hard to tell how well you're going to do.
Yeah, I mean that's gotta be a risk you're willing to take if you want to put a lot in. You may or may not win, but it's all luck.
That does make it more intense though. I feel like these dual minigames are really fun when you're really not sure what's going to happen.
Yeah, I like the idea of these dual minigames, but I kind of just wish it has a little bit more skill in it because it is just random. But I like that it's over kind of quick since half the players aren't actually playing.
Yeah, that's true. It's nice that they make these dual minigames go so quick. The only other thing I can really think of to say about this is that I was kind of confused on who beat who at first. They do give you a chart on the screen which helps, but I still had to study it to figure out which one I should choose. And then I kind of realized it doesn't really matter because it's just kind of random.
I have to say though, as far as dual minigames go, it wasn't the worst. I mean, I liked it more than Psychic Safari.
Yeah, I will say that. I don't think it was my favorite, but it did beat that one. Overall, like you can tell, this is just kind of a middle-of-the-pack minigame. It's not the worst we've played, but it's definitely not the best. There is a good intensity to it because of the random nature of it that makes it a lot of fun to play as a dual minigame. But that being said, the fact that it's so random really makes it hard to decide if you should put a lot of coins on the line or just a few. So for those reasons, we're giving this one 3 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. We'll be reviewing Roll Call next.
Here.
Save it for tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am.
Hope to see you then.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Today's minigame is the free-for-all roll call. Now, based on the name, you might think that this game involves calling out everyone's name to figure out who's absent from class today. But nope, that's not it at all. Instead, your job is to count up all of the characters as they move around and guess how many there are. Whoever chooses the correct amount wins the game.
The objective of the minigame is just to count up the characters, but it was surprisingly fun.
Yeah, I feel like there's a trend with Mario Party games where whenever I have to do something that would normally be given to a preschooler, I end up having a lot of fun with it. Like right now we're just counting. Another one of my favorites was Crazy Cutters where you're just trying to trace out the lines, but these ones are always fun.
Yeah, maybe it's because these minigames bring out the kid in us or something. I'm not sure.
I feel like it's another one like Honeycomb Havoc where it's not so much based on action and beating the other players as it is just trying to figure out a good strategy and doing a good job yourself. There aren't a lot of these kinds of minigames in Mario Party, but they're kind of a breath of fresh air when they come up.
Yeah, they are. I think it's good to mix it up in the minigames. As far as strategy goes though, what I tended to do in this minigame was count as fast as I could in the beginning and either do it in groups, like if they were standing in groups of 4, I'd try and count by 4s, or if they were clustered together in groups of 2, I'd count by 2s, just so I could get a fast number quickly, and then I'd go back and recount to make sure my number was as accurate as possible. What strategy did you use?
Yeah, I think it was basically the same as that. At the beginning of the game, I would do one kind of quick count just so that I can get a general idea of it and get a number added in. And then with the remaining time left, I would just keep going back through and double checking my answer just to be sure. It seemed to work overall though.
Yeah, I mean, we tended to be pretty accurate in our counts, or maybe we were off by 1 or 2. But I think that had more to do on which character we were counting at the time. You had 3 options. The first one was Toad, which was tricky because you had to make sure you didn't mistake any of the mushrooms for toads. Then there was Booze, and the Booze could disappear and they could kind of overlap on one another. And lastly, there was Bob-ombs. And the tricky thing about the Bob-ombs was that they tended to blow up at the end, but only a few of them. So you'd have to make sure you subtracted those from your total number.
I did enjoy that variety in this minigame. It was a nice touch. I think the easiest ones to count were the Bob-ombs, just because I think they moved slower than the other enemies, and just having to subtract, 2 or 3 at the end to get the right number wasn't very hard at all.
Yeah, I agree. The toads moved really quickly, and then the Boos did overlap a lot, so I felt like I was always counting them more than once.
So overall, this is a pretty fun minigame. There's a nice variety of different characters that you have to count, all with their own unique twists to them. It's also fun to have these occasional minigames that aren't so much about your skill as a video game player, but more just about strategy and, doing something well. We're giving this one 4 stars out of 5.
Yay! Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Looks like we're still on a roll with Roll Out the Barrels. That'll be our next review. Hope to see you then.
Finish!
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Today's minigame is Roll Out the Barrels, and it's another one of Mario Party 2's item minigames. If you remember watching our review of Coffin Congestion, you pretty much know exactly what you're getting here. And if you don't, we'll link the video below for you to watch. All you have to do is keep an eye on the item you want as the barrels roll this way and that around the screen. Once they stop, choose the one you want and hope you don't choose Baby Bowser. As long as you don't, you'll win an item.
Okay, so I guess this wasn't the worst item minigame we've played. At least there was a little bit of challenge and gameplay to it.
I think this one might be our favorite item minigame.
Well, that's good, because this is actually the last one in Mario Party 2, so at least we're going out on top.
This item minigame, like I said, is pretty much Coffin Congestion, except it's like that on high speed. Coffin Congestion, you were really able to follow the item and then choose which one you wanted. This one, we went really fast, and honestly, I kind of gave up trying to track the item and just picked a barrel at random.
Yeah, I guess the good thing about these item minigames is that even if you don't get the item you were going for, your odds are pretty good of getting something at least. You just have to watch out for Baby Bowser.
Yeah, I don't know if picking it at random is really the best strategy. I think if you can, try and watch out where the item you really want is going, and then choose that one, but I only got Baby Bowser a couple times.
I didn't have a ton of issues getting the item I wanted, but it was still challenging. I think that's a good thing though. This minigame's a good middle ground between the item minigames where you're basically guaranteed to get whatever item you want, and the extremely hard ones like Bowser Slots where it's really difficult to get anything at all.
Yeah, this minigame does have a really good level of challenge while still being rewarding. And it was fun.
I think that's the winning formula for these item minigames. So overall, this was pretty good for an item minigame. It actually had some gameplay and some difficulty, but it was a welcome addition. You're not just handed an item, but chances are still pretty good you'll get something. Compared to a lot of the other item minigames where you're not really doing a whole lot at all, this one can actually be a bit of fun. We're giving it 3 stars out of 5.
Yeah, definitely the best item minigame. Well, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. We'll be reviewing Saber Swipes next.
Wow, sounds exciting.
Guess you have to come back and see. Hope to see you then.
Got items!
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Today we're playing the duel minigame Saber Swipes. If quick draw corks, good old-fashioned cork gun dueling wasn't your style of fighting, maybe this will be more up your alley. Each player has a saber. 5 buttons will pop up above your head, and the first player to correctly enter each button will swipe their way to victory, winning all the coins that are up for grabs. So how did you think this one compared to quick draw corks and the other duel minigames we've played?
You know, this one's like a mixture of quick draw corks and mushroom brew, and I liked both of those a lot. But this one I didn't really enjoy that much. It was okay.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I don't know if I can really pinpoint the big issue with this one, but it just didn't really feel rewarding to play.
Yeah, I can't help but think it's maybe because the buttons at the top show exactly what you need to press the whole time, whereas both of the other games, well, I guess just Mushroom Brew, had it pop up one at a time. So there was a little bit more suspense, where this one was just more of a race, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, quick draw corks had that same element of suspense when you were waiting for your cue to go. Maybe that is what the issue with this one is. There's not a whole lot of time for you to feel tense because you're just kind of hitting the buttons and seeing what happens. Mushroom Brew I felt worked because every time you would hit a button or every time you would miss, you would get more and more tense as you saw your opponent doing well. This one doesn't really give you a chance to see how well or how bad they're doing. It just kind of happens and then it's done.
Yeah, I mean, I never looked to see how you were doing. I was just focused on pressing the buttons as fast as I could and making sure I was accurate at pressing the correct button. But I think when you're just focusing on what you're doing, it's not as much fun, I guess. It takes out that competitive spirit.
That must be it. I know we've said that part of the reason these duel minigames are so good is because they're really short and sweet, but this one, I feel like it was just missing something. It came and went, and I think because there was no sense of rewarding feeling to it, it just felt like it was lacking something.
Yeah, I don't think this would be as much fun to watch too if you're the other 2 players that aren't playing compared to watching Mushroom Brew. However, I did like it a lot more than Psychic Safari.
Yeah, I will say that. That is still definitely the weakest of all these duel minigames. This is actually the last one in Mario Party 2, so I guess now we can compare them all, and I'll say this one's just kind of middle of the pack. You don't really get that sense of victory through this one, but it's kind of hard to pinpoint why. It might be because it's just kind of over before it begins, and there's really no intensity to it where you're looking over at the person you're dueling to see how well they're doing. It just kind of happens and then you see the results. I don't know, it's kind of hard to say why this minigame doesn't feel as good as the best of the other duel minigames. It just kind of falls flat. It's not the worst one to play, but it's nothing great. We're going to give this one 3 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. We'll be reviewing Shell Shocked next. Are you shocked yet?
I'm speechless.
Wow, that's a first.
Yeah, we'll see how I feel once we play this.
Hope to see you then. Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. I'm feeling a little dazed, shell-shocked if you will, and that's the name of today's free-for-all minigame. Shell-shocked pits each player against one another in a fight to the death. You take control of a tank. Well, really? You are the tank. But whichever way you look at it, you can shoot with A, do a lob shot with B, and strafe back and forth with Z. If you get hit twice, you're out, and whoever's the last one alive wins the minigame.
Well, I really like this minigame. It's like the perfect mashup between the best action minigames in Mario Party and the best strategic ones. It has everything.
Yeah, this one was really fun to play. There's 3 course options. The first one's kind of small, and you start facing in a corner. The second one's a little bit bigger, and you start by diagonally facing a character. And then the third one's the biggest, and there's lots of different pipes around blocking your view from the other player.
I have to say that small course is over really quickly. I don't think it ever went more than 20 seconds when we played.
Yeah, I think that one's just about who can turn around from the corner the fastest and get the other players. Because it's so small, there's no strategy to it.
I know, that's kind of disappointing. It's definitely not my favorite course to play. That doesn't mean it's not fun, it's just kind of lacking a little something that the other 2 have.
I think it's definitely the least challenging out of the 3. When you start adding more pipes, there tends to be more things to hide behind and more surprises coming at you from the other players.
Yeah, the third one was definitely the best, I thought. It was really nice to start behind a pipe because you could kind of get a scope of the battlefield and see who you wanted to attack first. Plus, you could really use it to your strategic advantage. There were times when I would just let two people fight it out and then come in to get the other one once one of them was dead.
Oh yeah, I did that a lot too. My strategy was to hide behind the pipes and sneak up on the players, which I think I did to you a few times.
Yeah, you definitely killed me a lot with that method. You would just wait until I took care of everyone else and then come in for the kill.
What can I say? It was nice to have you do the dirty work.
Well, I did get wise to that strategy after a while, but you definitely won more of these matches than I did overall.
Yeah, it wasn't something I could probably keep up if we were gonna keep playing this game, but it worked at the time.
I don't know, you were still pretty good.
The controls on this worked pretty well too. I do have to say though, the lob shot doesn't go very far, so I would only use it if the other player is directly behind maybe like a pipe from you, because otherwise it won't hit them.
I really didn't use a lob shot very much. I think I used it once or twice, but like you said, it's just too hard to get in close enough to use it.
Did you use the strafe at all?
The more we played, the more I started to use it. You can be really strategic with that. If you're moving back and forth while keeping your aim on someone, it's a lot easier to hit them without giving them the opportunity to hit you. I like that little bit of added depth.
Yeah, me too. I didn't use it too often. I kind of wish I did though. I feel like it would have been helpful.
For sure. So yeah, this game was pretty great. I think we both liked it a lot. There's a lot of strategy involved, and you can really play more offensively or defensively depending on what you want to do. There's several courses, which gives it a nice sense of variety, and you really have to kind of tweak your strategy depending on which one you play. The controls work just as well as you'd want them to, and if you're looking for the perfect minigame that's a mix between action and strategy, this is the one for you. We're giving this one 5 out of 5 stars.
Woohoo! Yeah, this one was great. Definitely a lot of fun. Well, if you enjoyed the review, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing Shock, Drop, or Roll. Sorry, I don't mean to keep shocking you.
Yeah, this game's getting electrifying.
Hope to see you then.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Today's minigame is the 1 vs 3 Shock, Drop, or Roll. Now, based on the name, you might think that you have the option as to whether you'd like to shock, drop, or roll, but that's not really the case. In this one player is in charge of a lever that rotates a platform left or right. The other 3 players need to do their best to stay on by running around and jumping to safety. If you fall off, you're electrocuted on the ground below. So really, this should be called roll or drop and shock, because that's what's going to happen. But is this any fun? Let's find out.
You know, I have to say I didn't have that much fun with this one.
Me either. I think it's a tiny bit more fun if you're one of the players on the rotating platforms, but it's still not a ton of fun. I kind of liked running back and forth when the platform would switch directions, but the area you have to walk on and stay safe is pretty large, so there's not a lot of fear of falling off the sides, honestly. And unfortunately, that means it's really hard for the single player to win this one.
Yeah, it really is. I think it would have been better if maybe instead of moving the control stick up and down to change direction for the platform, you could change the speed or maybe abruptly stop the platform. It's just not that hard for everyone to stay on.
Yeah, that would have definitely helped a lot. There also should have been a smaller area where you could stay safe. Like, I feel like you could go really far down the sides of the platform and still stay on it, which just didn't really make sense.
Yeah, that, and when the player uses the lever to change directions of the platform, there's a brief pause in between the direction change, so it's easy to jump back up if you're falling down or something.
I know, they should have gotten rid of that pause too, I think. It would have at least gave the single player a chance to win.
And saying all that, it doesn't mean that I never fell off, because I definitely did. Kind of a lot, too. But I think it's just tricky to get everyone off. Like, you might have that one person, like me, who tried to use the strategy of jumping a lot to stay on, which didn't really work, so don't try that at home. But I think it's just overall hard to get everyone to fall off.
That was pretty much the issue. I definitely fell off sometimes, but I just rarely ever saw all 3 people fall off. This is one of those games that's better in theory than it is in practice. With a little fine-tuning, it could have been made into something a lot better than it was. But who knows, maybe it'll come back in Mario Party 3.
If it does, I hope they make some improvements on it.
So overall, this minigame's alright. It's really easy to stay on the platform if you're one of the 3 players, and that makes it really hard to win if you're the single player, so good luck. There's a pretty wide range of area you can stay on as one of the 3 players to keep yourself on the platform, and since there's a pause when the single player switches the direction of it, it's pretty easy to get your bearings before you fall off the other side. So unfortunately, because of these flaws, we're gonna have to give this one 3 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. We have a good one for you next. Well, hopefully. We'll be reviewing Shy Guy Says.
Ooh, this is one of my favorites from the original game.
Well, let's see if it's still good in this game.
Hope
to see you then. Hello, and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Today's review is an exciting one because we're reviewing Shy Guy Says, a returning minigame from the original Mario Party. That one got 5 stars, so let's hope this one is just as great. If you haven't watched the review of the first one, we'll put a link in the description. This is a free-for-all minigame. The Shy Guy will hold up 2 flags, each corresponding to a button. If they hold up a white flag, hit A. If they hold up a red flag, hit B. But be warned, the Shy Guy will sometimes trick you by holding up 2 flags before settling on one. Whoever's the last one to survive wins 10 coins. So it's a pretty good deal. You either lose your life and plummet to Earth, or get 10 coins. I'd take that bet.
Man, this one was really difficult for me. I honestly don't think I won this one a single time.
Gosh, me neither. I definitely didn't win it.
The thing that made it so hard was that the Shy Guy would kind of fake you out sometimes. Like sometimes they would hold up 2 flags and lower one, or sometimes they'd hold up 2 and start to lower one but put it back up and then lower the other. Which, this concept was in the original minigame, but not to this extent. They would just hold up 2 flags and then lower one. In this one, since they can fake you out once or twice, or I think sometimes even 3 times before leaving one flag up, it's really hard to know when they're done. And because you have a tiny window of time in which you can hit the button, it really punishes you because you don't know whether you should keep waiting for them to finish or whether they're done or not.
Oh, I know. I got out so many times because I felt like I just needed to choose a flag because time was gonna run out and I'd choose one, but the Shy Guy would switch and then hold up the other flag, so then I was out. On the other side of that, I'd wait sometimes because I knew he was gonna fake us out again, but then I'd wait too long and I'd get out. I feel like I just couldn't win on that.
Yeah, I know. I was honestly getting really frustrated with this one, which sucks because, like we said, the original was one of my favorite games in the first Mario Party.
Well, and the concept's really fun. Like, the first part of the game I really liked. It just gets to the point where he's trying to fake you out so much in such a short amount of time that it's kind of impossible to continue going.
Yeah, definitely, and that really sucks for me. This minigame is a great concept. It was in the original and it still is in this one. Unfortunately, because the Shy Guy fakes you out for different lengths of time, it really punishes you. You don't know whether to wait for them to make sure that they're done holding up flags or whether you should give them a little more time. And by the time you do decide to hit a button or not, it's already too late and you've lost. That's really a fatal flaw in a game like this. If you can't win, it lowers the amount of fun you can have with it. So I hate to say it, but we're gonna give this one 3 stars out of 5.
Gosh, I was so looking forward to this one, and then it was kind of disappointing.
Yeah, like it's not a horrible minigame, but it's so hard to win that it really hinders it.
Yeah, well that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing Skateboard Scamper.
Oh great, we went from one of my favorite minigames from the original Mario Party to one of my least favorites. Can't wait for this one.
Oh dear.
Well, if you want to see if this one's any better, come back to watch it.
Hope to see you then.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Well, our last review was for Shy Guy Says, one of my favorite minigames from the first Mario Party. But unfortunately, Mario Party is full of blessings and curses, so it makes sense that after the blessing of playing one of Mario Party's best minigames, we'd be forced into the curse of playing one of its worst. Today's minigame is Skateboard Scamper. Skateboard Scamper is a free-for-all minigame that finds everybody racing to the end of the course on a skateboard. To do this, you have to mash B to move and A to jump. Whoever crosses the finish line first wins, or loses depending on how you look at it.
There are so many things wrong about this game, I don't even know where to begin.
Yeah, tell me about it.
First of all, it's a button mashing minigame.
Yep, never a winner there.
No, whoever thought these were good ideas, or not. No one likes to mash a button. It's not fun.
Especially when like a third of the minigames are just button mashers in a different package. It gets so repetitive.
I know. And it's one thing when it's button mashing and then you have to do something else, but when it's the whole course you're button mashing, not a good idea. And the other thing that's wrong about this minigame is that there's like an invisible barrier that you can't move beyond, so every character is kind of stuck together in a clump, and there's no breaking out of it unless you're gonna fall way behind.
Oh god, yeah, this was the same problem in the original minigame too. I will say that this one makes it marginally better than that one, in that there has been times when somebody's pulled an inch or two ahead or fallen behind by just a tiny bit. I think that's because this time they introduced hills and other things like stairs that go up and down that can hold you back, which does help. If you just roll down the hills, you'll get a tiny boost of speed, as opposed to jumping over it to get some coins that might be in the air or something. So there were times when somebody would pull just slightly ahead, but it's never really that far ahead. And we had so many games where multiple people would cross the finish line in exactly the same position, and it was just impossible to know who was going to win it before the game told us.
Gosh, I know. I think at that point they should just make everyone a winner if they're gonna look like they're all crossing at the same time. Like, that doesn't seem very fair to me.
Yeah, if you just made this one a little harder and maybe had the ground falling out behind you so that it was less of a guaranteed thing that you reached the finish line, this would be a great way to fix it. Anyone who gets there just wins the coins. There's nothing wrong with that. But as it is right now, there's really no reason to do it this way.
Yeah, that would have made the game way more fun. There was one positive in this game, and that was the theming.
Oh yeah, my favorite again. We were in some sort of scary mansion and there was a giant boo chasing us. I love that spookiness.
Yeah, I just like when it's a fun theme like that. It elevates the game a little bit.
Maybe just a little bit, but it definitely does. Overall, this minigame is almost as bad as the original. Button mashers are rarely ever fun, and this one takes the cake as one of the worst. Because there's an invisible barrier that you can't get ahead, everyone is neck and neck until the end unless you fall really far behind. That really makes no sense in a game where there can only be one winner at the end. There were so many times when multiple people would cross the finish line at exactly the same time and the game would just pick one winner. There's no sense in that. At least this one fixes it a tiny bit from the original, where there are opportunities to pull ever so slightly ahead, but that's really a small improvement to this game that doesn't help a ton. And the only other positive thing to say is that I did like the theming a lot, but I guess that's subjective. So I think we're going to give this one 2 stars out of 5. Ever so slightly better than the original, but still pretty bad.
Well, that's all we've got for you today. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up is Sky Pilots.
Oh, I love pie.
No, not Pie Skylet. It's Sky Pilot.
Ah, dang, I misheard. Well, stick around to watch it anyway.
Yeah, just don't expect any pie. Hope to see you then. Hello, and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Have you ever wished you could fly an airplane?
Well, sometimes I guess. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a major dream of mine, but yeah, sure, it'd be fun to do sometimes. I've always liked
Well, what
just
if...
riding in planes, so maybe flying them would also be good.
Well, what if you could fly an airplane while forcing a partner to toil away in the back, flapping the plane wings while you enjoyed the view?
Yeah, I guess that wouldn't be bad. I would like to watch the view.
Sounds pretty good, right?
Yeah, I guess it does sound pretty good. I mean, I wouldn't mind that.
Well, that's today's minigame. The player flying the plane has to move around dodging the cannonballs being shot at you, as well as trying to fly through the rings that will give you a speed boost. The player in the back moves the control stick up and down to flap the wings. A smaller amount of larger flaps moves you faster than a lot of tiny little flaps, so you have to find that sweet spot. Whichever team crosses the finish line first wins.
Yeah, this minigame wasn't bad. I did enjoy it.
Yeah, I thought this one was pretty fun.
I think being the pilot was more fun than being in the back, at least to me. It was fun having to try to fly through those boost rings or get out of the way of the cannonballs before they hit you. I liked that.
Me too. I mean, I didn't think being the person that was flapping the wings was that bad either. You just move the control stick up and down and it was a little less pressure than being the pilot, but it was fun.
Yeah, I mean, you did have to be a little bit strategic if you were in the back.
The strategy I found that worked the best for me was just watching the speed. So once I found that spot where I was going at a nice speed, I just try and keep in rhythm with that.
That's a pretty good strategy to have. That seemed to work well for me too. One thing that frustrated me about this is sometimes I felt like it was too hard to dodge out of the way of the cannonballs. You don't have a ton of control in your plane. It takes you a little while to switch directions, so if you were right next to one of the cannons, there was pretty much no time for you to react before the cannonball would hit you. It was frustrating, but not the end of the world.
Yeah, and if you got hit, it did blow you back a little bit, but I wouldn't say it was too far back that you couldn't catch up.
No, it wasn't, especially if you were able to get one of those speed boosts that the other team wasn't able to. So overall, this was a pretty okay minigame. Being the pilot was a good time as you tried to go through all the boost rings and dodge out of the way of the cannonballs. And being in the back flapping the wings was alright too. It was just a different experience. There were a few frustrations with it. The plane could be a little bit hard to control, and sometimes the cannonballs kind of seemed a bit unfair when they hit you, but it was nothing that ruined the game. Unfortunately, this didn't really reach the high highs that your plane does though. It was just okay. So we're giving this one 3 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. I do have a little sad news before we go though. We only have about 10 more mini games left to review of Mario Party 2.
Wow, it's only another couple weeks.
I know. I wonder what comes next. Well, for now at least, our next review will be Slot Car Derby.
Oh, another returning minigame.
Gotta love it when that happens. Hope to see you then.
Ready, go!
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. We're back for yet another returning minigame today with Slot Car Derby. I gave this one 3 stars in the original game. It was fine, but sort of tough to control. You can watch that review in the description if you'd like. Slot Car Derby in this game is largely the same as the original. Tilting the control stick in any direction will move you faster or slower depending on how far it's tilted. Going too fast, especially around the corners, will cause you to spin out, so be careful. Whoever finishes 4 laps first will win the minigame.
I thought this one was pretty fun to play. There's 3 different courses, so it adds a nice variety to the gameplay. And each course varies in difficulty, so you're not just playing the same thing over and over again with no challenge.
Yeah, the original game had 3 courses as well, but somehow in this game, I've just been having a lot more fun. I think maybe they tweaked the controls to make it a little bit easier, but it could also just be that I got better. In the original game, I felt like I would just always spin out, and it was really hard to avoid that, but in this one, even though I did spin out, it always felt like my fault, and it never felt unfair.
Yeah, I mean, I spun out a few times too, but I think that was more of my strategy. I just tried to go as fast as I could the entire time, and then around the corners I did try and slow down a little bit, but sometimes I just wasn't quick enough to slow down. You kind of get a little hint of when you're gonna spin out. Your car gets a little puff of smoke, almost like it's overheating, which is kind of funny, and that's your indication that you should probably slow down.
Yeah, that definitely helped a lot. Like you, I'd kind of slow down around the corners and then pick it up if there was more of a straightaway.
I think that's the best strategy. I mean, your goal is to get to the finish line first, so why not try and go as fast as possible?
Exactly. The other thing that's fun about this minigame is you never know what's going to happen. Even though somebody might start out really far ahead from everyone else, you never know if they're going to spin out or not, so it's really anyone's game. There were several times where I was in last place until the last lap, and then I would just take the lead and finish in first.
Oh yeah, that's true. I mean, it's really anyone's game until the last second. You can spin out of control, and that causes a couple second delay to get you back to the speed you were going. So, I mean, if you do that enough times, it can put you behind.
Yeah, so overall, I really enjoyed this one. I don't know if they tweaked the gameplay from the original or if I'm just better at it, but I had a lot of fun with it. You definitely have to be careful not to go too fast for too long or you'll risk overheating, but that's part of the fun. It's really cool to see somebody who's really far ahead spin out and get behind everyone else, especially when you're the one that passes them. And having 3 different courses is pretty cool too. You never know which one you're gonna get, so it's always a little bit fresh going into it. We're gonna give this one 4 stars out of 5.
Yeah, this one was fun to play. Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed the review, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up is Sneak and Snore.
Okay, how about you sneak and I'll snore?
We might have to do both.
Oh, okay. I guess that's why the and is in there.
Guess we'll find out. Hope to see you then.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Finding yourself trapped in a house with a monster is never fun.
Yeah, welcome to my daily life.
Rude! Trying to get out while they're sleeping is even scarier. But sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, especially when only the first person to exit the door will be free. It really is a matter of life or death. Sneak and Snore has you sneaking through a room in a barrel, trying to hit a button that'll open the door to freedom. Your goal is to hit the button and get out the exit before the time runs out. But it's not as simple as it sounds. The chain chomp guarding the room is a light sleeper, so you must stop moving to hide in your barrel when they wake up, or else you'll be chomped up and lose. Whoever makes it through the doorway first wins.
I feel really disappointed in this one. This was one that sounded like a lot of fun going into it, but ended up being not a lot of fun going out of it.
Yeah, I agree. I really wanted to like this one, but it just wasn't that much fun.
The biggest problem with it was the fact that you can't go into the barrel quick enough. We were playing with 2 computer players, and they would be able to get into their barrel in the split second that the chain chomp woke up. But somehow whenever we did that, it wouldn't work, and we would just die.
Yeah, it says the slower you go, the faster you go into the barrel. So the faster you go, the slower you get into your barrel. But the computers were going faster than us and got into their barrels faster. So it didn't seem to really matter how fast they went, but it really mattered how fast we went, and that just didn't seem fair.
Yeah, that's what I don't get. Like, we even put them down on easy mode for a while, and they were still winning. So what are we supposed to do?
Yeah, I mean, even sometimes I would try and stop and get into my barrel really fast, like before the chain chomp even did anything, and I would just be in there wasting time hoping that he would wake up so then I could keep going. So I tried to preemptively stop, but that didn't even seem to work.
That's the problem. If you were playing this with 4 human players, it would be a lot better because you would all be at the same disadvantage. You would all have to try and guess when the chain chomp would wake up, and everyone would be taking it a lot slower. But when you're playing with computer players that get to do things at a later time than you, it makes it impossible to play and not a lot of fun.
I guess, but it seems like even if you played with 4 human players, it would just be too hard to figure out when the chain chomp would wake up and when to get into your barrel. So I think even then it would be too hard to win.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but at least if everyone is a human player, you would all be at that same disadvantage. It wouldn't be a game of trying to get into your barrel as soon as Chain Chomp woke up. It would just be a game of trying to get as far as you want to risk it before Chain Chomp wakes up. That I could see being fun because it's all about luck and, just saying what happens. Somebody might get really lucky and go a lot further than everyone else, or, get out right before they are able to make it back to the door. I think that would be a lot more exciting than this.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably true.
So overall, this is another minigame full of flaws that might be a lot better with a little bit better execution. The computer players have a huge advantage over human players in that they can get into their barrels exactly when the Chain Chomp wakes up. But if you're a human player, you don't have that advantage. I would say that I have pretty good reaction time, and I was never able to make it into the barrel once Chain Chomp woke up. I would have to just guess when it would wake up and stop and get into it preemptively. But by doing that, you get behind the computer players. This might be better with 4 human players, but we didn't play it to find out, and honestly, I don't feel like a lot of people have the opportunity to play it with 4 players. The minigame should really be balanced for any number of human players to be playing. The fact that this has so many issues forces us to give it 2 stars out of 5.
Well, human watchers, that's it for today. If you enjoyed today's video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing speed hockey. How is that different than regular hockey? Stay tuned to find out.
Really slick ice.
Hope to see you then.
Finish! Draw! Stop!
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Today's minigame is the 2 vs 2 speed hockey. This is basically the foosball version of hockey. You and your partner are on blocks and your only movement is to go up and down. So there won't be any fights breaking out in this one, unless it happens in real life. Whichever team is the first to make 3 goals will win the minigame.
I don't know how I feel about this game. I did have fun with it, but there were points where I also did not really like it.
Oh really? I thought this one was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, there were times where I had a lot of fun with it, but I think there were some challenges. Like, sometimes the puck would get stuck between the player in front and the player behind, so it would just kind of ricochet back and forth between us a lot. And then other times, the more often you hit the puck, the faster it goes. So sometimes it was just really difficult to try and block it from going into your goal.
Yeah, I guess I didn't really have a problem with that, because if it's ricocheting back and forth, somebody can just move up or down and get out of the way. The speed thing did make it really hard to kind of predict where it was going to go, but for me it just added a nice intensity to it. You'd kind of have to cover the whole board, and I thought it was just kind of exciting, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it was. And in the beginning, it was going so fast that I just felt like I couldn't keep up and couldn't block it. But then you and I came up with a strategy of splitting the course, so I stayed up top and you stayed in the bottom part. So we were able to split it up that way, so I think that worked a little bit better for us. That was a good strategy.
Yeah, that definitely did decently. I don't know, I guess I just liked this more than you did. I kind of liked how simple it was. Your only movement is up and down, so it's a really simple minigame, but I liked it. It was exciting and fun to me.
Yeah, it was. I think the more I think about the game, I did actually have a lot of fun with it. It was just kind of in the moment things that I felt a little frustrated with. Like, sometimes the rounds went by really quickly, but I guess that was also part of the fun because it was so random sometimes.
Definitely, it was always really funny when you're able to get a goal really quick. Overall, this was a pretty fun minigame. I might have liked it a little more than Sarah did, but we both had a good time with it. Your only control is to move up and down, so it's really simple, but that just gives you a lot more time to focus on the intensity of the puck flying around the field. There may have been some issues with us feeling like we didn't have enough control over what happened in a round, but that's just kind of how all of these foosball type games are by nature. I think we're going to give this one 4 stars out of 5.
Yeah, we are. Well, thank you for watching today. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell if you enjoyed this video. Our next review is of Tile Driver.
That's an interesting name. I really have no idea what this minigame's going to be about.
Me neither. Mario Party always surprises us. Hope to see you then.
Finish!
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Today's minigame is Tile Driver, a free-for-all minigame. This one is simple. You're shown a picture of either Goomba, Koopa Troopa, or Boo, and your job is to flip over your tiles to match it. You do this by ground pounding on top of each block. Whoever finishes their picture first wins. So get out there and act like a pile driver while you try and win this game of Tile Driver.
This one reminded me a lot of Tipsy Tourney, where you have a picture made up of tiles that you're trying to turn over. But unlike that game where you're kind of tilting the board around to uncover everything, this one has you ground pounding each tile to flip them over. I still had fun with it though.
Yeah, this one was really fun. This one was pretty intense though, because everyone has the same tiles to flip over. So until the last second, it's really anyone's game. So any mistake you make will cost you.
Yeah, I feel like every game of this we played, we were all pretty neck and neck. Like, it would come down to within like 1 or 2 tiles of anyone winning. There were times when one of us would be in the air while the other one won the game, so it was literally half a second difference between everyone.
Well, and sometimes the tile would flip over looking like you were gonna win, but someone else won that tiny second right before you. So you actually didn't win.
Yeah, and that's really where the strategy of making small jumps comes into effect.
Oh yeah, that was definitely a good strategy.
If you ground pound right when you jump into the air, you'll have less height to come down, which means it'll save you a fraction of a second every time you ground pound on a tile. But that really adds up, and by the end, having some really short jumps can make you win the game.
Yeah, that extra second really makes a difference. This game is really intense, but that's also what makes it really fun.
I agree. Sometimes I felt like it got a little too intense though. It's one of those games where when you realize how close it always is by the end, it makes you try and go as fast as you possibly can, and that's led to some issues for me at times. When you're trying to maximize your potential of every jump and shorten the amount of time that you spend moving or in the air, you begin to screw up. Like sometimes I would think I moved to the next tile, but I would still be on that line between tiles and flip over the wrong one, and that really just costs you the game. One mistake means you're out.
Oh yeah, I did that too, thinking I was on one tile, but I actually was on a different one and tried to flip it over. Or I try and ground pound too fast, but I wouldn't actually ground pound at all, so then I would have to jump again. Yeah, that is the problem with it being so intense. You do make those silly mistakes sometimes.
So overall, this was a pretty fun minigame. Make no mistake, this is definitely a pro minigame for pro Mario Party players, but that must be why we liked it so much. Because it's so neck and neck between every player, it gets really intense. It becomes a game of maximizing each jump to make sure that you spend the littlest amount of time in the air and spend the littlest amount of time moving between tiles. That can be a lot of fun because it gets so intense, but that might also be something that you don't like depending on what kind of player you are. Personally, we felt like this was a great take on a minigame, and I think it's good to have these intense minigames along with the less tense ones like Honeycomb Havoc. They all have their place. So for that reason, we're giving this one 5 out of 5 stars.
Woohoo! Yeah, this one was a lot of fun, even though it was so intense. Well, that's all we have for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be reviewing Time Bomb.
Sounds like an explosive good time.
Let's hope.
And speaking of hope,
Hope to see you then.
Finish.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. We're back today with the last of Mario Party 2's dual minigames. They've generally been fun while they lasted, so hopefully we go out on top with this one. Time Bomb is the dual minigame you'll get while playing on the Spaceland stage. Goomba will give you a time to hit, and it's up to you to hit the button whenever you think it's been that long. Whichever player hits the button closest to the right time will win all the coins up for grabs. This is the last duel we'll see, so do your best.
So after the word start leaves the screen, you have to count to however many seconds you're told to count to, and then you press A once you get there. You're just counting. But why is it so intense?
Yeah, I don't know, this just reminds me of the other games where you're doing preschool-like tasks like tracing an outline in Crazy Cutters. They're simple concepts, but I like them.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this one, and I'm surprised at how bad I was at it. I mean, you think counting 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, like that would be easy, and you would know when you're at the number you need to be at, but I was always off.
Yeah, it might be slightly confusing knowing where you're supposed to start counting. It'll say start on the screen and then go away, and you're supposed to start counting when start leaves. There is an indication by listening to the ticking of the time bomb, but this still might lead to some issues at first when you're trying to figure out exactly what cue you have to start counting.
Yeah, that's true. I had a tiny bit of trouble with that in the beginning until I realized the ticking signals when I need to start counting.
I do think it was pretty fun though. I enjoyed it.
Me too. I mean, sometimes I ended up counting a lot faster or a lot slower in my head, so I wasn't very consistent with that. I did notice a couple times you landed right on the money though, with the exact time you needed to count to.
Yeah, I must have just gotten lucky. I don't know how I did that. 'Cause there was other times I was like a second off. So overall, this is a pretty good dual minigame. It has an intensity to it where you're trying to figure out exactly when to hit the button. And when you see the other person hit the button, it makes you feel like you should hit yours too, even if you don't feel like it's been enough time. These minigames with simple concepts to them are often my favorites, but for good reason. There's just something about them that's really easy to play, but really rewarding when you win. We're gonna give this one 4 stars out of 5.
What a fun minigame. Well, that's all we have for you today. If you enjoyed watching this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up is our 60th minigame for Mario Party 2. It's Tipsy Tourney.
Ooh, this was one of my favorites from the original. Let's hope this one was just as good as before.
Hope to see you then. Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. We're in for a treat today because we're playing another returning minigame from the first Mario Party. It's Tipsy Tourney, which was one of the most fun minigames in that one. If you haven't watched that video, the link's in the description. But if you don't know, Tipsy Tourney is a free-for-all minigame. Each player has their own board, and your job is to flip over all the tiles to reveal the picture. To do this, you move around to tilt the board and move a Koopa shell around. Whoever reveals their picture first will win this minigame.
Well, they really didn't change much in this one from the original, but I don't mind that because it's still just as fun as it was before.
Yeah, thank goodness. Sometimes they bring back a minigame from the first one and it's not as good.
Yeah, like Shy Guy says. Luckily, this one's still just as good.
This is another one of those minigames that has a simple concept, but ends up being really tense. And I think it's because until the last second, it's anyone's game.
Yeah, I hate those moments where you only have 1 or 2 tiles left, and you look over at the other players and see someone else only has 1 or 2 as well. It makes everything get really frantic.
Oh, I know. And it's always the last 1 or 2 tiles that are the hardest to flip over. So then you end up kind of panicking a little bit. And most of the time it's just luck too to see who will win.
Yeah, to be honest, the controls are pretty clunky. They were in the first game as well, and they're still here. I don't think it's a huge issue because everyone's dealing with the same issues, but sometimes it just feels like it takes a long time to get that Koopa shell moving in a different direction.
Oh yeah, that's true. I tried to jump around a lot, that way it would maybe move a little bit faster, but I don't really even think that works.
Yeah, I don't know. For some reason I never really jumped, but maybe I should have tried it. Instead, I would just try and run around the shell, but sometimes that would be an issue because I would start to move to another point on the board before the Koopa shell could flip over the tile I was going for.
Oh yeah, that happened to me too. My strategy was to try and get the outer edges done first and then move to the inside, but I would end up being too impatient and always miss like 1 or 2 in the corners.
That was my basic strategy as well. I think we both won a decent amount of time, so I think it's probably an okay strategy though.
Yeah, it seemed to work most of the time.
So overall, Tipsy Tourney is just as good as it was in the original. It's one of those ones that anyone can start playing because it's so simple, but it's also a lot of fun. I won't say it's perfect because the controls can be a little clunky, but it's never a huge deal, and this game is still really good despite that. It's especially tense when it gets down to the last 1 or 2 tiles, and those moments are always a lot of fun. We're giving this one 4 stars out of 5.
Yeah, this was another good one. Gosh, can you believe it? We're down to the final 5 minigames now.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it really is. Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell to get notified when we release new videos. Next up is Toad Bandstand.
Good thing it wasn't Toad Handstand. I don't even think his hands reach above his head.
Does he even have hands?
I don't know, they're kind of like little nubs.
Hope to see you then.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Remember Mario Bandstand from the original Mario Party? How about move to the music from earlier in this game? Well, we've got more of the same for you today with Toad Bandstand. This is a 2 versus 2 minigame where each player will have to hit the notes of their instrument in time with the music that Toad lays out for you. Whichever team makes the least amount of mistakes by the end of the game wins.
This one was okay.
Yeah, I feel like all these little musical games are okay. I enjoy them, but that might just be because I like to play music in general.
I think this one might be my least favorite out of all the musical ones, though.
Why?
I think in the other ones, it's easier to tell how well you're doing and how well everyone else is doing. On this one, I just had to watch to see when to press the button, so I wasn't really paying much attention if acorns were falling on my head or anyone else's.
Yeah, true, I really never did either.
I think it might be a nice addition if they added like a score or something that could tell you how well you're doing and how well your team's doing and how well the other team is doing too.
I agree. They've all kind of been like that. I think that's one part of it that makes them kind of unrewarding to play. Like, you're hitting the buttons, but you don't really feel like you're making progress or doing well or not well. You're just waiting to see the results, so there's never that, like, fun excitement or tension of knowing that you're doing really well or not.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. I think that's why I didn't like this one that much. It's not that it wasn't fun, it just didn't have that sense of reward or accomplishment at the end.
For sure. It is nice that there is 2 different songs to choose from. We always like that variety.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
But even then, you're just kind of doing the same thing in both songs.
And sometimes you only had like 1 or 2 buttons to press depending upon the instrument you're playing.
Yeah, I noticed that. There was always the same amount of buttons to press per team, but each player on the team had different amounts of buttons. The person playing the flute always had more than the person playing the drums, so depending on if you're good or bad at this game, you might want to play drums or you might be better suited for your team to play flute.
I think it would be more challenging if there was more buttons you had to press, but I guess that would have to change the song too.
Yeah, I suppose. But I feel like they could have fitted in here somehow, with a little tweaking.
Yeah, maybe each round music got faster or something? I don't know.
Oh yeah, that actually would have been fun if it got more difficult as the game went on. That would help at least make you feel like you're doing something progressive in the game instead of just getting through it.
Yeah, it needs something more.
So overall, you know what you're getting here if you've played any of Mario Party's other music minigames. You just kind of have to hit the button in time with the music and try not to make any mistakes. The worst part about this minigame is that there's no sense of progression. Whether you're doing well or not, there's not really any way to tell, so that sense of excitement is just not really there. You're just kind of going through this one and waiting to get to the end. It's nice that there's 2 different songs to play, but that's not enough to pull this game by itself. We're giving this one 3 stars out of 5.
Well, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we're reviewing Toad in the Box.
Wow, 2 Toad games in a row.
Yeah, but this time he's in a box.
Hope to see you then.
Finish!
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. One time I got a mysterious package in the mail that I didn't remember ordering. It was a little heavy, so I gave it a shake and heard a "Wah!" come from it. Turns out it was a toad! A toad in the box! Which is exactly the same name as today's minigame. Toad in the Box is a race to try and get 5 toads to turn up on your dice block before everyone else does. Every time you roll one, the dice block goes faster and faster. Whoever rolls 5 first wins.
I liked this one, even though it was really simple. Something about it was also really rewarding to play.
I agree, this one was really fun. It was also really intense because it just gets faster and faster and faster, and by turn like 3 or 4, it's pretty much impossible to try and time it right because it's just gonna be luck at that point. So you can barely even see the dice moving since it's so fast.
The first 1 or 2, probably 2, are really easy to get on your first try as long as you're paying attention. But starting with like 3 on, it's just going too fast to really keep track of. That really makes it intense in that kind of random way that we liked from, say, Bowser's Big Blast and stuff like that, where it's really anybody's game.
Yeah, when it starts to get really fast, I just try and go off the color. I can't even look at the shape on the dice block because it's pretty much impossible to make out the toad in that quick of time. But really, it is just luck at the end, and that makes it really intense.
It really is intense. There's a good random and a bad random to minigames, and I feel like this is a good random. It never felt unfair or unrewarding to play it.
Yeah, that's true, and when you won, you did feel that sense of accomplishment, and it was exciting to watch.
So overall, this is a pretty great minigame. It starts off with a little bit of skill on the first couple rolls or so, where you actually have a chance to stop it where you want to stop it. But starting from roll 3 or 4 on, it gets so fast that it turns into a pretty random minigame. It's a fun random though, and it keeps up the intensity in a really cool way. Sure, it's not the most exciting concept. At the end of the day, you're just jumping up and hitting a dice block, but it's a really fun way to do that. We're giving this one 4 stars out of 5.
Well, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the review, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next up, we'll be talking about torpedo targets. Well, I wouldn't want to be between the torpedo and the target, that's for sure.
Me either.
Hope to see you then.
Finish!
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Today's minigame is Torpedo Targets, a 2 versus 2 minigame, and boy what a game it is. Each team has one player controlling the sub and another controlling the torpedoes. The goal is to hit more targets than the other team by the end. It might sound simple and it might sound fun, but the details are in the execution, so let's find out if this one executes it well or makes us want to execute ourselves.
I did not like this minigame.
No, this was a very unfun minigame, and it really comes down to the execution of it, namely the controls.
The controls were bad. I feel like the scenery was bad. The game was just not good.
Yeah, it really wasn't. We had so many problems where we couldn't tell where we were and where we should even be facing. I mean, there was times when I would be spinning around in a complete circle and see nothing.
You're underwater, and you're kind of in a cavern maybe or something, so it looks like there's rocks all around you, but they're all the same color, so you can't tell if maybe you're stuck in a corner or maybe you're going too close to the rocks. There's not a lot of depth perception either, so you don't really know how far away from the wall you are to know if you should keep going in that direction or if you should turn around.
Yeah, that's really the biggest issue. There is some stuff in the middle of the stage down on the seafloor, but if you're higher up than that, you can turn around in a complete circle and not see anything, and I'm pretty sure we both had that issue multiple times. Like you said, it's really hard to tell which wall you're looking at, so unless you go up and down a little bit, it's hard to get your bearings.
Yeah, that, and we just didn't know if the targets were going to be towards the top of the water, towards the bottom, or on the side. You have no frame of reference for where you are or where you need to be going.
Yeah, the scenery really needed some more variety to it, and the controls just didn't help either. It was so hard to make your way around. A lot of it was because of the scenery. You don't know if you should be going forward or backing up or going up or down. There's just no frame of reference to it, so everything is kind of working against itself.
Yeah, I think one thing they could have done to improve this, if they were going to keep the same controls and the same scenery, would be to create maybe a map on the screen that had where the targets were so you knew where to go. I don't know. I feel like that would be too elaborate for a minigame, but I just don't think this is a good game as is.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how you could fix this. Maybe the camera could be a little bit further back from your submarine. I feel like the camera was pretty close behind you, so it was really hard to get a big view of what you were looking at. If they pulled it back a little, that could help.
Yeah, that's a good idea. The one good thing about the controls currently is that you can control the torpedo. Being able to do that lets you be more out of range from the targets. It gives you a little bit more control to hit the target even if you're not perfectly lined up with it.
Yeah, that did help, but we also had some issues with that as well because your controls are inverted, so you have to hit down to have the torpedo go up and hit up to have it go down. So that's not a big deal, but it is a learning curve if you're not used to that.
Or if you keep forgetting like I did.
Also that. So overall, just not the best minigame. It's one that kind of sounds fun to me, but actually playing it isn't a whole lot of fun. It's hard to get your bearings, it's hard to tell where you're at, and it's kind of hard to control as well. Every element of this game is kind of working against it to make this into something that I just don't care to play again. Sure, we've played worse, at least it's not a button masher, but this one doesn't have a whole lot going for it. We're gonna give it 2 stars out of 5.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Okay, can you believe it? The next minigame is our last one.
Wow, that's crazy. We've already almost finished all 64 of Mario Party 2's minigames.
I wish I could say it's been a treat, but sometimes it hasn't.
Yeah, true, but we'll get to that when we talk about our top 10 best and worst for this game.
Oh yeah, that'll be interesting. Well, next up is the last minigame for Mario Party 2, and that's Totem Pole Pound. If you enjoyed this review, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. That way you can come back for Totem Pole Pound. Hope to see you then. Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. I hate when I'm standing somewhere minding my own business and have a totem pole rise up below my feet. I mean, what am I supposed to do? It's not like I can just jump off of it without breaking my legs. Luckily, Mario Party is here to train us on the proper procedures for just this situation. Totem Pole Pound is a free-for-all minigame. Each player starts atop a totem pole, and the goal is to lower all the way back into the ground by ground pounding on it. The higher into your jump you ground pound, the further it will go down, so keep that strategy in mind. Now, let's see if this one's any good.
I thought this one was pretty enjoyable. I enjoyed it.
For some reason, this one kind of reminded me of Toad in a Box.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same concept in reverse. That one you're trying to get your platform to raise, and this one you're trying to lower it. I guess this one is a little bit more skill-based than that, in that you have to ground pound and try and strategically ground pound at the highest point of your jump to have your totem pole lower more. But yeah, they do have some similarities.
Yeah, that is true. This one definitely has more strategy. It's intense. You can see where everyone's at compared to you, and it makes you work a little bit harder. Although, sometimes that doesn't always go in your favor. When I could see that someone was really close to me, I tried to hold A to jump higher, but sometimes I would be too anxious and not hold it long enough.
Yeah, when you see you're lagging behind some of the other players, it can make you feel like you want to go faster. And to go faster, you'd have to ground pound at a lower height, which would actually hold you back. So it's almost counterintuitive in your mind sometimes. You really do have to go slow and steady and make sure that you're at the height of your jump to get maximum lowerage of your totem pole.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the best strategy isn't to watch your opponents then, because I think that's where I messed up, because I'd get too excited.
Yeah, actually that could work pretty well. Just pretend you're in your own little world for a little bit. So overall, this is pretty fun. It's a simple concept. Ground pound your totem pole and try and get it all the way into the ground before anyone else does. There's some good strategy there in that the higher you are in your jump when you ground pound, the further it'll go down. So that can be pretty fun. It's also intense seeing where everyone else is at compared to you, but this can also hold you back if you try and go too fast for your own good. It's a simple one, but it's fun. We're giving it 4 out of 5 stars.
Yeah, I really liked this one. It was a good blast minigame for Mario Party 2.
Yeah, it was. I'm glad we went out on a high note instead of with one of Mario Party's less fun games, we'll say. But the fun doesn't have to end here.
It doesn't?
Not at all.
Are you talking about Mario Party 3?
Not yet. Allow me to explain. We may be done with all of Mario Party 2's regular minigames that'll come up in a regular game of Mario Party, but there is actually one bonus minigame left to talk about, and that's the secret unlockable Driver's Ed.
Well, I guess that means our next review will be of Driver's Ed, the secret bonus game.
And the real last minigame in Mario Party 2.
Well, thanks for watching on our journey so far, but stay tuned for the bonus minigame.
Let's see if we end on another high note.
Hope to see you then.
Hello and welcome to another Mario Party 2 minigame review. Well, we finally made it. We're finally to the end of Mario Party 2. What a journey it's been. It's been full of some good, some bad, and a whole lot of average minigames. But we're not done yet. We have one more bonus minigame to talk about today, and it's the single-player Driver's Ed. To unlock this special minigame, you have to buy every single minigame in Mario Party 2, including the battle and item minigames. Do this, and you can dive into all 5 of Driver's Ed's special courses. Each of the 5 tasks you with driving your car between road cones and popping the balloons in numerical order. You must go through them in the direction the arrow points, and you have to pop all 20 in less than a minute, so it's quite a task. Let's see how this one compares to the other 64 minigames in Mario Party 2.
Okay, so this minigame has 5 courses, which in general, we like variety, but not for this minigame, because each one is worse than the next.
Hey, speak for yourself. I actually kind of enjoyed this one.
No, you did not.
I really did. I presume that you didn't like it because of the controls.
You know it, I hate tank controls.
Yeah, we've controlled minigames in this way before. Magnet Carta is the first one that comes to mind. To move your cart, you have to push forward on the control stick or back to reverse, and then hit left and right to change your angle. So it controls a little different than, say, Mario Kart, where you hold A to go and then kind of tilt the control stick back and forth to change your direction. It definitely makes for a different experience, to be sure.
I mean, I'm sure it's just because I'm not used to tank controls that I don't like this. I'm sure there's people out there that do.
Hey, I won't say that I'm used to them. It definitely takes some work to make your way around with it. But to me, that's kind of what gives this its flavor. Personally, I feel like if you were just going through this as if you were playing Mario Kart, it wouldn't be as exciting because you could probably do it pretty easily. I guess the fun could still come down to trying to beat your time, but right now I like that there's a little challenge and you have to really work to get it done in under a minute. However, I don't fault you for disagreeing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what makes this minigame a challenge. It's just not one I enjoyed.
Yeah, that's more than fair. These controls are definitely not for everyone.
It was a fun idea, though, to try and beat the clock, because there's not a lot of minigames like that.
Yeah, I like these little unlockables that we've found. The original Mario Party had the bumper ball mazes, which were also single-player experiences, and kind of had you going through a whole course on a bumper ball. I think I probably preferred that one to this one, but this has its own charm. At least to me it does.
Yeah, I mean, it is unique to have those single-player experiences in Mario Party.
Yeah, it's just an unlockable. You don't even have to play it if you don't want. Overall, we definitely have different opinions on this one. The tank controls are definitely a personal preference, and if you don't enjoy them, you're not going to enjoy this minigame. However, if you're up for the challenge, this is a good little way to waste some time when you're in between rounds of Mario Party. I suppose we don't have to give this one a score since it's not a minigame that's going to come up when you're just playing Mario Party with friends. But if I had to grade it, I might give it like a 4. I enjoyed it. What would you give it?
I would give it a 1, but I really don't like tank controls.
Okay, so we're pretty split on that. If anything, that's kind of what Mario Party is though. You've got your highs and your lows and everywhere in between. It makes me curious what you guys think about this one. Do you agree with me? Would you rank it at a 4 or 5? Or would you rank it down at a 1?
There is a right answer, don't worry.
Well, let's just see what everyone thinks.
Wow. Well, this is it. Mario Party 2 is done. But wait, is it possible there could be more?
No, this was definitely the last minigame.
You're right. There's no new minigames to review, but we will be doing our best and worst of all the minigames.
Oh yeah! If you don't remember, I did 2 videos for my own top 10 best and worst minigames from the original Mario Party, and I think we're going to do that again for this one.
Yeah, we'll see if our favorites and least favorites match up. Stay tuned for that. Well, we can't thank you enough for watching our videos, and we really appreciate the support, so please like, subscribe, and hit the bell.
And don't worry, Mario Party 3 is on its way soon.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to see what that one's gonna be like compared to Mario Party 2.
Me either. Make sure you come back to play it with us.
Hope to see you then.